Oh my goodness. Okay, so it was deleted from Facebook. Um, Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Monique Denton. Listen, welcome to the Sisters Inspire Sisters Virtual Summit. We are super excited this morning. We have some powerhouse women. We are getting started in about 3 minutes. So I just want you to hold tight. You are in for some powerful nuggets regarding self-love, manifestation, and abundance. We'll be getting started in about 2 minutes, so just hang in there and be ready to be filled with motivation and inspiration this morning. Good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Sisters Inspire Sisters Virtual Summit. And It is Monique Denton, and welcome. I want to welcome everyone to the Sisters Inspire Sisters Virtual Summit, where today we will be focusing on self-love, manifestation, and abundance. This is the beginning of our book launch for the second Sisters Inspire Sisters anthology, and I am super excited to have you in attendance with us. We have a jam-packed day filled with some phenomenal, powerful speakers, and I just want to start with saying that this is our season, right? This is the time. If you are here, if you've made it through the last couple of years, which has been absolutely tough for us, if you've made it through the pandemic, it's time for you to really embrace yourself, for you to love on yourself more than you've ever loved on yourself before. Ladies, it's time for manifestation. It's time for abundance. It's time for us to reach our goals and to really embody the person that it is that we were anointed and put on earth to be. It's time for us to serve. It's time for the blessings to flow. And how do we do that? We envision who it is we want to be. We manifest who it is we want to be. We write down the vision. We make it plain. We have a positive mindset, and we understand that we attract wealth. We attract positivity. Our circle is in place, and we are all connected together and going to empower, motivate, and inspire. I want to bring on our first phenomenal speaker today, and that is one of our network members, Miss Melissa Wellman. And I just want to tell you a little bit about Melissa. With overcoming many obstacles in life, Melissa has become self-aware of the importance of walking by faith and not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5, verse 7. Clinging close to her faith, she's discovered a passion for encouraging others to embrace their true self one day at a time, no longer being bound by the opinions of others. Melissa encourages to know that you can be all that you were created to be. Being an overcomer of low self-esteem and a survivor of pulmonary embolism, Melissa walks in self-confidence with the reassurance that nothing is too hard for God. With continuing her newfound journey, Melissa hopes that through her inspiration and sharing her story will give others hope that what was meant for bad can and will work for your good. Ladies and gentlemen that we have on the broadcast today, let me introduce to you our phenomenal sister, Miss Melissa Wellman.
Great morning, everybody. Great morning, Miss Monique Denton Davis. I am honored. I am elated with the opportunity that has been presented before me. I hope you all have started off with a great day. This is the day that the Lord has made. We shall rejoice and be glad in it. And we will begin to walk in our newfound freedom of self-love. How many of y'all on this chat this morning on this broadcast this morning, if you don't mind putting in the chat that I am in love with myself? Come on. I am in love with myself. I am so excited that God has given me the opportunity to link up with Miss Monique and the Sister Inspiring Sisters to be able to be an inspiration, a light to others, to let them know that they too can walk in the fullness that God has for them. Now, I'm going to share with you the part of the book, the chapter of the book that I wrote on, and the chapter of the book that I wrote on, which the name of the chapter is The Battle Within. Come on, y'all, The Battle Within. And it ties into self-love. Now, I know the book, the second anthology, is centered around the core values of self-love, manifestation, and abundance. How many of you know that you cannot operate in all of them if you don't first operate in that one called self-love? Let me start off with defining what self-love is. How many of you know what self-love is? Well, for me, what self-love is, and I jotted it down here, self-love for me is to know your worth, knowing what you deserve, knowing who you are, not being afraid, knowing when to ask for help, and being bold And most of all, being humble. Now, when I say humble, I'm meaning humble that you don't get puffed up and you don't get prideful for the things that God has for you. Yes, when we walk into our newfound freedom of self-love, God wants us to walk in the power. We are who we are, but also not get puffed up and prideful. And on my journey of self-love, I used to be one of those ones that didn't operate in self-love. And when I say didn't operate in self-love, I found myself constantly being a people pleaser. How many of you guys watching this video or on this broadcast can identify or relate that you were once a people pleaser? You may be still operating in that spirit of being a people pleaser, but I am on this broadcast today to encourage you to no longer walk in that spirit of lack, that mindset of lack, that mindset of defeat, that you can be all that you were created to be. See, I had to become self-aware of who I was. I spent many of years not loving myself, not knowing who I was or who I was created to be. It was a time where I hit rock bottom. And when I say I hit rock bottom, yeah, it was some of the decisions that I made, which were self-inflicted. And then it was some things that were not. But even with that, I did not love myself. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I was created for. I didn't know what my purpose was. And it wasn't until I hit rock bottom to where I only had two options. And those two options that I was faced with was one, to give up or to quit. And the other option was to look up. And I'm here today to tell you on March the 19th of 2022, I did not give up. I looked up. I chose to look up, and I chose to do the work to find who I am in Christ, who he created me to be. And with doing that, did it come easy? No, it didn't. I'm here to tell you, it did not come easy. It was a process. I had to do the work. And with doing the work, we know that sometimes it can become uncomfortable. You hear what I'm saying? It can become uncomfortable, but you have to begin to get intentional about what you know that you deserve in this life. I had to let go of some friends. Was it any beef or anything? No, it wasn't. But I know that in order for me to walk in the purpose that God had for me to walk into, I had to get away from the distractions. I had to let some people go that I love and I still love to this. Tired of being. How many of you have hit that part in your life? Have you gotten to that point where you say, look, I am tired of being sick and tired? I had gotten to that place where I'm saying, look, I am tired of being sick and tired. I know God has something better for me. I know there is something more for me to do. And when I got that into my spirit and began to do the work, I began to see the things change. I began to see the shackles drop off of my life that once had me bound. You understand what I'm saying? I began to no longer walk in self-doubt. I began to no longer walk in low self-esteem. I began to no longer walk in this mindset of lack. Because how many know this stuff takes root in our minds first? We have to overcome by the renewing of our minds. We have to take off that old mindset that the society and the world wants us to believe that we cannot be or have what we were destined to be and have. So I had to take off that stinking thinking. I had to take off that negative thinking, and I had to be transformed by the renewing of my mind to know that I can have, long as I position myself and get into alignment and begin to walk in the purpose that God has on my life. You know, I found myself, and I have to be transparent. I can only walk in the lane that God has me to walk into. I cannot be like nobody else. I can only be who God has created Melissa to be. See, we all have a story to tell. We all have a testimony to tell. You know, see, God used my mess and turned it into a message. You hear what I'm saying? Then he used my test and turned it into a testimony. So when I get on the broadcast, I get on with love in my heart, with fire in my soul to be able to reach back and let my sister know that whatever you have went through, whatever you're going through, that don't have to be once you become awakened. Hear what I'm saying? Once you come awakened, whom you have, what God has put in you, you will begin to walk with a boldness. You will begin to walk with self-confidence in knowing who you are, knowing that your story has meaning, because we go through things in our lives, not for us. It's to be able to help someone else, to be able to bring someone else out of what they may be going through, to let them know that it all is not lost. All is not lost. And in the chapter of my book, in the chapter of the book, the anthology book, my chapter, like I stated, the chapter name is The Battle from Within, because we can battle things within. We can cause ourselves to go through a period of second guessing ourselves or doubting ourselves, or not really knowing the capability or the power that we have that resides on the inside of us. And I went through that period as well, because we all have seasons in our lives. We all go through different seasons in our lives. And I am a firm believer, as I sit on this broadcast this morning, I believe with all in my heart that I went through a season of being a cocoon. How many of y'all know what that is? Being the cocoon, where you're in a shell and you're being protected. You're going through your storms. You're going through your valleys. You're going through your trials and your tribulations. And at that time, when you're going through, you may not know why you're going through, but we know that at the end of the day, it's a bigger reason for you to go through. So when you come out and you turn out into that beautiful butterfly that God has created you to be, that is for a testimony. It's for a purpose, to be able to reach someone else, to let them know that they can come out too. So I had to learn. And I had to learn that going through that process, and like I stated, some of it was a cause of the things that I chose, self-inflicted things that I chose, and then some were not. I had to understand that it was all a part of my journey. It was all a part of the process, preparing me for such a time as this. And in the chapter of The Battle Within, I wrote some ways where you can shift your speak positive, speak life over yourself. And that's with affirmations. I have developed a routine that I started 2 months ago, where God had put me in this quiet place, removed me from distractions, where he really wanted to deal with me, where he really wanted to speak to me, where things that he needed to birth in me that I wasn't allowing to be birthed or fighting against, because I felt like I had to be a part of a crowd. And that comes back with self-love, not putting the time in with yourself, always giving to other people. And that's not saying that that's a bad thing, because we are supposed to be givers. But when it gets to the point where you're giving, and you're neglecting yourself, that becomes a problem. And that's what I found myself doing. I was constantly being a people pleaser, constantly saying yes. And how many of you know that sometimes you say yes and you don't want to say yes? You know, and that's what I was doing. I was saying yes. And a part of me was wanting to say no. But it wasn't until I actually continued to go through that process of self-development and gaining self-love and knowing who I am and whose I am, I began to say no with not feeling guilty. Come on here, somebody. I began to say no without feeling guilty, because I'm sure some of you that's on this broadcast, you can relate that there was a time in your life where you found yourself like me, wanting to help everybody, wanting to be there for everybody, saying yes when you really wanted to say no, because if you felt like if you said no, then they would no longer want to deal with you, no longer wanted to be your friend, or this, that, and the third. And I had to be delivered from that, because at the end of the day, it wasn't helping me. It was hurting me, because I was losing myself in other people. And the affirmations I began to speak over myself, and I apologize. I hope I'm not going to sound like I'm all over the place. I just have to give it to me as God downloads it to me, to give it to me, to give it to you all. But I used to, during the two months that he put me in isolation, to where I began to just spend more time with him, to where I could hear from him and the instructions, what he wanted me to do in my life on this newfound journey, to be able to inspire, uplift, motivate, and empower other people. When Monique reached out and let me know that it was going to be the second anthology on self-love, manifestation, and abundance, he said, my daughter, you got something in you to let people know too about self-love, because you was once there. You was once one of those ones that didn't have self-love. And you can be truthful and transparent and let them know that I created everyone to walk in abundance. But we have to first love ourselves. And the affirmations that I began to speak over myself daily, I developed a routine. I developed a routine to where I would set my alarm clock. My alarm clock is set for 5:30 a.m. each morning, where I get up with a prayer of thanksgiving, thanking God for yet another day. Then I began to read my affirmations. And when I say the affirmations, I'm standing in front of the mirror. Hear what I'm saying to you on this morning. I'm saying the affirmations in the mirror, because how many know that there is power in the tongue? There's power in the tongue. We have to speak those things in power. We have to speak those things as that's not as though they were. Y'all not hearing me on. I begin to see the shift of my way of thinking, the shift of me loving myself, falling more in love with myself, with who God has created me to be, no matter the good, the bad, the ugly. I began to love all of me, flaws and all. You hear what I'm saying? And those affirmations, I have some that I had shared in my chapter of the book. There is, I believe, 5 affirmations that I put in the book just to get you started. Then there's many more affirmations out there, but these are the 5 that I shared in the book that I speak daily in front of the mirror, that I know that has begun to change in me, that began to change my way of thinking, begin to see myself as God sees me. Come on here. I began to see and view myself as God viewed me. No longer viewing myself from what the world had to say, because the world can speak things over you that's not meant to be spoke over you. But the affirmations I began to say is, I forgive myself. I forgive myself. I am at peace with my past. I am proud of who I'm becoming. I am beautiful inside and out. I can do the best that I can. I am doing the best that I can. I am learning to love myself more every day. I am a constant work in progress. These are some of the affirmations that I shared, that I speak daily when I stand in the mirror each morning before I get ready. I speak those things over me to get it in my spirit, man, to let me know that I can be and I am all that God has created me to be. So I know I want to be obedient, and I want to be respectful for everyone else. Want me to answer, I'll be more than happy to answer them to the best of my ability. But I just wanted to share with you all on today that fall in love with yourself. If you haven't, begin to fall in love with yourself daily. Stand in the mirror. Even if you're not able to stand in the mirror, if you forget and you gone about your day, take a moment aside and say, look, I am somebody. I am worthy of love. I am worthy of the abundance that God has predestined for me to have. Now I'm just know that I got to get in alignment and I have to do the work that's required for me to do on my end. No longer will you walk in self-defeat. No longer will you walk in doubt. That you will walk in the authority and the power and the dominion that God has equipped us all to be able to walk into.
Come on here now, Melissa. Listen. Okay, those affirmations, I'm sitting here with my notepad just writing, I forgive myself, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
important. I forgive myself. I am doing the best I can. I am a constant work in progress. How many of us know? I mean, listen, you could put it in the chat. You can hashtag I am a work in progress. But the thing is to love yourself in the current state that you're in, knowing that it will get better and that you will do the work. I am and I will be all that God has created me to be. I absolutely love your affirmations. I cannot wait, okay, to read your chapter. This book is going to be phenomenal. You have definitely been putting in the work. I appreciate you being part of the Sis Network. You have dropped some major nuggets for us. Take away the negative thinking. You talked about negative thinking. You talked about mindset shift. And I just want you to know that we appreciate you. Self love, manifestation, abundance, right? We are embracing ourselves fully and completely. We're writing the visions, we are making it plain. We are envisioning who we are, what we want to be. And this even includes the places that we want to go, right? I see that car for me next year. I see that Bentley. I'm just going to put it right here. And this is the other part, right? We can't be afraid as women to say what it is that we really want. Forget about being humble all the time. Forget about being meek. I'm just going to put it right out there. I see the Bentley next year, right? This year is going to be $1 million year for me. And every sister that is connected to me and in my network will have $1 million year. Dr. Erica will have $1 million year. Kirsten will have $1 million year. Juanita will have $1 million year. Dr. Juanita, Melissa will have $1 million year. Sandra will have $1 million year. And the list goes on and on. I see it, I believe it, and I feel it. And I'm not afraid to say it. I'm not afraid to say that my grandchildren will go to Ivy League schools and will not have to worry about student loans. I'm writing a vision and I'm making it plain. And listen, I'm getting ready to we got to keep it moving. Okay. We have to keep it moving. Melissa, thank you so much, my sister. I cannot wait till we meet up again. There are so many things we have going on. We have the Charlotte Conference Live and we have our official book launch, and everyone will get within the next week or so the links from the individual authors, if you haven't received them already, to pre-order your book. Melissa, thank you once again. Okay, ladies, we are going to move it forward. The next person that I'm going to bring to the stage is the phenomenal Dr. Erica McCormick. Let me just tell you, actually, I'm not going to tell you a little bit because I feel that accomplishments need to be recognized. And Dr. Erica McCormick is a renowned award-winning business consultant, master coach, author, and speaker. Dr. Erica is the CEO and co-founder of Abundant Living Consulting Corp., LLC, the president of Flight to Freedom Foundational Business Academy, Like a Boss Summit, and owner of Anavrin Herbal Garden. Dr. Erica is the visionary and co-author of the Business Blueprint, to include volume titles, the Money Management Manual, and the Interactive Self-Help Guide to Entrepreneurial Wellness, a volume book series for aspiring and current business owner. Dr. Erica's most honorable badge is motherhood, where she gets to experience abundance life to her daughter and teach her the valuable skills of education, success, and legacy. Dr. Erica is also a proud and active member of Delta Mu Delta, Chi Sigma, Lada, Psi Chi, okay, that's a whole lot to say, Chamber of Commerce, Greater Fayetteville Chamber, and the Elevate Professional Women's Network. She is also an ambassador of Project, Semicolon, and a doctoral studies professional development mentor for her alma mater, Capella University. I mean, when I tell you we have some powerhouse women, Dr. Erica attended 71st High School in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and graduated with honors in the top 10% of her graduating class. She earned her Associates of Arts degree from Cape Fear Community College in Wilmington, North Carolina, with a major in counseling, psychology, and applied, and a minor in law and justice. She earned her Bachelor of Science with a double major in industrial and organizational psychology and information systems at UNCW. Dr. Erica also received her Leadership Master of Science degree from Capella University with a specialization in multidisciplinary human services. Dr. Erica received a Doctor of Education degree from Capella University with a specialization in performance improvement leadership. She is also currently pursuing her second doctoral degree from Walden University with a concentration in organizational leadership and development. Dr. Erica is a trailblazer, an emerging leader of the millennial generation. Dr. Erica has a great passion for community and helping others navigate life through educational framework and core fundamentals. She specializes in professional development, leadership and business coaching, mental health resilience, and organizational change. Dr. Erica actively participates in the annual International Folk Festival as a member of the Raven Rock Native American Tribe, Eastern Band Cherokee Tribe, and the United Cherokee Nation to show homage to her multicultural background and Native American descent. Dr. Erica, you need to stop. Okay? You need to stop. First of all, a second doctoral degree. Okay. When you talk about women that are out here, powerful women that are making moves, and we've had several conversations, your businesses, the way that you are empowering women financially, you are a true powerhouse. So I just want to say thank you for being a part of the Sister Network. We appreciate you. We value you. And I'm just going to turn the mic over to you. I'm just going to go ahead and take look, you go ahead. I'm passing the mic. Take it away. And just again, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Of course. Thank you so much for that, Monique. Also, thank you for saying we are going to have $1 million year. I certainly received that. I definitely manifest that. There is power in the tongue, and I want everyone to understand and speak life over yourself. That is so important. The chapter that I have in the book is actually called The Lessons I Learned on the Way to Today. And that is actually one of my monumental lessons as well, is there is power in the tongue. We have to be careful with the things that we say and that we speak over our lives, over our business, over our family, over our children. There is power in that. So we got to make sure that we are speaking positively, not only to ourselves, but also about ourselves. So that's one of the first things I want to talk to everyone about today, is that you must first love yourself. And in loving yourself, that means to be patient with yourself, give yourself grace and mercy, the same amount of second chances that we give to others, the same grace and the same leeway that we give to others. We also need to give that to ourselves as well. Be gentle with yourself. Allow yourself time as you're going through your process and through this journey in life. There will be so many trials and tribulations that we will go through, especially as entrepreneurs. For any of my soul entrepreneurs out there, if you're working in corporate America, anything that you are doing in life, we're always going to go through trials and tribulations. I'm not going to sit here and say that with my success or anyone else's success. I'm sure that our other powerhouse speakers can attest to that there are going to be so many challenges that we will go through. However, the main thing to take away from that is to overcome. And when we have those bad days, don't stay there. Don't live there, right? You're going to have those bad days. Allow yourself to have a moment, pick yourself up and keep moving. Don't stay there and don't live there. So that's one of the things I wanted to leave everyone with as well. And also, anything worth having is worth fighting for. So as we're fighting and going through that, keep in mind your why. Understand why you're doing this. Why are you here? What is your purpose? What is your divine mission in life? And always continue to work through that goal. And that is what is going to help you get through those tough times and those bad days that we all will have, right? The second point is elevation requires separation. That is one of the biggest chapters within the book that I really spend a lot of time on, because as we continue to grow in life, both mentally, spiritually, physically, we are going to elevate. And as we elevate, we have to separate ourselves from certain things. As you grow spiritually, you have to separate yourself from certain people, places, and things that you used to do. There's going to be certain places that you cannot go anymore as you begin to elevate on your spiritual journey. As you become closer to Christ, there are certain things that you won't do. As you begin to elevate in your business, in your success, there's going to be elevation there as well that requires separation from certain people that you used to hang out with, or certain places that you used to go that are no longer conducive to where you are going in life. And the next point is, you cannot allow people's biological reference dictate their access to you. So many people allow toxic people to have access to them based on their biological reference. If your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, your uncle, if that person is toxic in your life, do not allow that biological reference to remain them to have access to you. Be okay with standing up for yourself, speaking up for yourself, speaking up for your peace and protecting your peace, to say, this is not okay. You are not okay for me. And where I'm going, I'm in an elevation season in my life. And that requires me to separate myself from certain people, places, and things. We put an alarm on our house. We put alarms on our cars, right? Because we want to protect them, because we value them. But when is the last time that you've actually protected your own peace? When is the last time that you put up a security block for you, for your well-being, for your mental well-being, for your spiritual well-being, to say, my spiritual alarm is going off. This is not okay. You know, we protect these different physical things within our world, but we don't apply that same level of protection for ourselves, for our businesses, for our peace, for our mental sanity, for our spiritual sanity, for our overall mental well-being. And that is a problem. And that is something that I see with so many people that I interact with, so many other women, so many other sisters that I want to encourage and to lead, is that be okay with protecting your peace. Be okay with placing those boundaries in your life, regardless of who the person is, whether it's your family, your friend, your spouse. Do not allow anybody's biological reference to dictate the access that they have to you in your life. Okay. Next, I want to say is, I got my notes here. Be you. Everyone else is already taken. So what that means is that be okay with who you are, with where you're at. Love yourself where you are, meet yourself where you're at. I am really, really big into fitness and health. However, it took me a while to get here, right? So I had to begin to love myself through my struggle, love myself where I was, and love myself enough to say, you need to get it together. This is not okay. This is not, the operation of life that you're comfortable in, that you're happy in, that you're thriving in. So I had to meet myself where I was at and say, okay, these are things that you are doing. These are things that you need to change. Have those conversations with yourself. As you're encouraging and inspiring other people, you got to learn to take your own advice as well. I counsel myself all the time as a counselor, as a mentor, and as a coach. The same things that I tell my clients or other people to do that I'm mentoring, I have to tell those same things to myself as well. I have to coach and lead myself through life and through my own trials and tribulations. But like I said, on those bad days, we're all going to have them. However, don't stay there and don't live there, and begin to really pick yourself up. One of the great analogies that I always like to think about whenever I'm going through things in life, or as I'm going to the next stage or the next phase of life, is baseball. Baseball has a huge analogy to life, right? Unlike any other sport in life, you can really compare. It has a very, very positive correlation to life. When you think about the batter, whenever he's getting up to bat, right? He has 3 strikes. Whenever he gets up there, unlike basketball or football, he can't pass that bat to his teammate and say, oh, I don't think I'm ready to take this hit today. Here, you do it for me. It's not like basketball. You see your teammate coming, you can just give it to them and let them take the shot. Whenever you get up there, you have to make every single moment count. And that's so true for life. So we have to realize that we might not always get a second chance. So every opportunity that you have in life, regardless of what it is, make it count. Always give it your best shot. Always put your best foot forward, no matter what it is that you're doing. And also, life, there's going to be several risks, right? Just like in baseball, right? The batter, whenever he hits that ball and it goes out of the park, he can't get to second if he doesn't take his foot off first. So that's a risk that he has to take. So many people are so scared to move forward, scared of failure, scared of not hitting that mark every single time. That's okay. But as you begin to fail, always fail forward. Always fail and learn a lesson. There are no L's in life. There are no losses. You either win or you learn. So you cannot be afraid to take risks. You cannot be afraid to push yourself outside of your comfort zone. Success is always going to be on the other side of your comfort zone. You have to be okay with being uncomfortable. You have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? Just like with working out or with fitness or anything in life, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be uncomfortable, but that's where you're going to get your success. That's where you're going to see the results, is in that season of being uncomfortable. So just like in baseball, right? Like I said, in order to get to second, you have to take your foot off first. So don't be afraid to take those risks. Don't be afraid to take those leaps. And don't be afraid to ask for help. You are not supposed to do everything by yourself. I always tell a lot of my business owners that as I'm working with them, mentoring them, you're in this for yourself, but not by yourself. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to say, I don't have it all figured out. I don't know what to do next. There are so many different organizations out there. We have the Sis Network, full of other women that are really looking to really help pull other people up. We have the books and the different workshops and seminars and things that we're doing to be able to give people those tools, to be able to say, this is what I did, this is what didn't work, and this is what did work. You don't have to do it all by yourself. You don't have to do it all and start over from the beginning. Let me pass you the baton. Let me give you these life skills and life lessons that I've learned that you can then use to help push you to the next level. That way you don't have to touch the stove to know that it's hot and get burnt. I can tell you, don't do that. I tried that. It didn't work. Try this. This is what worked for me. It might not work for you, but try this and see. So we got to be okay with helping other people and get rid of this crab in the bucket mentality. And, people only want to see you do good. They don't want to see you do better than them. We have to stop thinking like that. We have to begin to change our mindset, shift your mindset, and really start to think success, really start to think collaboration instead of competition. Our mindset, like Miss Melissa said, can be your worst enemy. You can be your worst enemy. You can have those battles within yourself that are holding you back, that are hindering you from getting to that next level. So we have to learn to be honest with ourselves as we're learning and loving ourselves. As you begin to learn yourself, that's a part of your self-love journey, is being honest with yourself, saying, okay, these are things that I'm doing wrong. These are things that I need to change within me so that I can get to where I want to be. These are the different changes that I need to make mentally, and begin to practice those daily. Just like anything, it takes practice. So does mental exercises and mental shifts. As we begin to change our mindset, you have to do them daily. You have to be consistent with that in order to get better at that. That is the only way you are going to be successful, and to achieve elevation is by doing those things and trusting yourself as you get to that level. It's going to be new. Like I said before, it's going to be uncomfortable, but you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And the moment that you do that, that is when everything is going to change. Another thing that I also said in my chapter of the book was get your shift together. And what that really means is that as you're beginning to shift, you're not going to have it all together. But when you get there, take your baggage, go through your baggage, get rid of the toxic things, get rid of the negative things that you do not need, that you cannot carry on. You cannot be successful and get to the next level with baggage. So you can only take the valuable things that you need. And that is the tools of success. That is that mindset shift that I speak of. That is those things that you have to begin to tell yourself, you are worthy. You can do this. You deserve this. And then begin to walk and lead in that. As I mentioned, there is extreme power in the tongue, and we have to start speaking life over ourselves, start manifesting what we want. Like Monique said, she wants that new Bentley. That is okay with saying that, right? That is okay with speaking that life over herself, and don't be afraid of that elevation, right? It's going to be $1 million year. Like I always tell my business partner, Kirsten, I said, we're millionaires. Time just hasn't caught up to us yet, right? We're already there. We're already walking in it. We're just waiting on time to catch up with us so that we can start living in that moment of life. And that is what it's about. It's about your mindset. It's about the positive thinking and not putting that doubt in yourself and into your life. I'm a mother of a little one, so I always have to be very careful about the things that I say, because my daughter is at that really, really sweet age where she's really repeating everything, and she feels, what I feel, right? So I have to be careful about things that I say and things that I speak out of my mouth that she hears, that she begins to repeat. So I always pour life into her, which ultimately helps me, right? I always tell her, I'm like, I need you more than you need me. You don't even know it. But we have to begin to speak life over ourselves and think in the mindset of a child sometimes, right? They're like a sponge. Everything that they're getting and they're learning right now, they're soaking it up. We have to do that as well. It's okay to relearn certain things, especially within the African American or the minority community. We are not taught credit. We're not taught finance. We're not taught a lot of these life skills. We're not taught entrepreneurship. We're taught you go to college, you go get a job, you work in corporate America, you retire. That's just a cycle of life. We're not taught that there are other ways. There are other values of success. There are other monuments that you can have and that you can achieve. So we have to unlearn some of the bad things that we learned that are not necessarily correct. So we have to, have that sponge mindset like a child as well, and not be afraid to absorb new knowledge, not be afraid to learn new things, not allow society to put this time clock on us that says, oh, you're in your late 30s or your late 40s, you're too old to go to college. That is not true. Society puts this time clock on people that they think that if you're not 17, 18, just coming out of high school, you're too old to be in college. I've had so many people tell me that, and I'm like, who said that? Who are they that say, that you're too old to go back to college, that you're too old to achieve these, dreams and these aspirations that you've had in life that you didn't do yet? That is not true. The society's time clock is not your time clock. You move in the essence of your life. Everyone has a blueprint of their life that God has already written for us, and you move and you act accordingly to that. You cannot compare your life with what others are doing or what society's time clock says, that you have to go to college at this age, you have to be married at this age, have kids at this age. That is not true, right? And you cannot base your life on that, or else you will continue to hinder yourself and not achieve your optimal levels of success. And I want to encourage everyone today to do that, to walk in your purpose, find your why. What is your why? What is your mission? What is your purpose? What is it that you aspire to do? Who is it that you aspire to be? Who do you want to impact? Who is your audience? Who do you want to encourage? And begin walking in that. If you want to be a public speaker or an author, begin to move towards those millstones. Begin to go back and acquire that knowledge. If you don't want to go to college, go to a training, go to a seminar, come to a virtual summit, begin to acquire that knowledge to be able to move forward. One of the best quotes that I ever heard, they said, if you want to hide knowledge from an illiterate person, put it in a book, right? Because, people don't want to read books. So that is something that I encourage everyone to do. Pick up a book, purchase our new book that is coming out, that is launching today. Purchase a book, read, acquire knowledge, learn new skills, learn new trades. Don't be afraid to learn new things. Never think that you were too old to advance. Never think that you were too young to be in any moment or any space in your current being in life. Never be afraid to go after your dreams and chase those things that you really want. There's, I always tell people that a dream turns into a goal when you put a date on it. If you don't put a date on it, it's not a goal, right? It's just a dream. So don't be afraid to set those, long-term and short-term goals for yourself. Challenge yourself to be successful. Step outside of your comfort zone and push yourself to your optimal success. And I believe that is all that I have for everyone today. Definitely grab our book. Definitely read it. Like I said, my chapter in the book is called The Lessons I Learned on the Way to Today. We have some amazing authors, amazing speakers in the book. The book is going to be phenomenal. We have an amazing lineup for everyone for the rest of today as well for the summit. And I'm excited to be here, and I cannot wait to read all the other authors' chapters in the book as well.
Dr. Erica, first of all, you have some audacity, okay? You have some audacity. Now, I just need to know okay, get your shift together. I hope everyone heard that and hashtag that. Get your shift together, okay? But I need you to tell us, because you have some audacity between your business, professional, and educational achievements. I mean, who do you think you are? You have some audacity, but I need to know where this came from. Where is this drive that you have, and these achievements and the accomplishments? If you could just tell us a little bit about that. Where did it come from?
Of course, my biggest inspiration is my grandmother. I am actually named after my grandmother, and I also named my daughter after my grandmother as well. So my grandmother is Irene. My middle name is Irene. I named my daughter Alina, which is Eileen in Hawaiian. But my grandmother was a serial entrepreneur. My grandmother is from New York. She's a big powerhouse, huge personality. She had her own cleaning business, home health agency, daycare. My grandfather was a chef. They were a big power couple. And for me, that really resonates with me, is that life does not owe you anything. Anything that you want in life, you got to go and get it. And so many people in this younger generation, they're so used to the internet and all these different technological advances. Everyone is so used to now instant gratification. You don't have to work for anything. It's right there at the tip of your fingertip, and that is not true. And with my daughter growing up in this new wave of technological age, right? I grew up in dial-up internet, AOL. So my grandmother was on the phone. We had to wait 30 minutes for the computer to come up. If she started calling somebody on the internet, you got to start all over. Whereas now it's Wi-Fi, so even though my daughter is growing it up, my daughter has an iPhone and can work it better than me, I still want her to understand the value of time, the true essence of work, and how much it feels whenever you actually work for it. But one of my biggest things is the story about the lion and the gazelle, is that, how the lion gets up every single day and he goes for it. He doesn't need an alarm clock to wake him up, whereas the gazelle only runs if something is chasing it. You have to have that drive within yourself. The gazelle will stop running if the lion stops chasing him. So what is chasing you? What is driving you? That lion gets up every single day and goes out there and runs. He doesn't need anybody to wake him up. He don't need no alarm clock, because he knows if he doesn't get up and go get food, he doesn't eat. That is the type of drive that we have to have as people. Be like, I want this so bad. I want to be successful as bad as I want to breathe. I'm going to get up every single day and work for it and go and get it, because life owes you nothing, right? So you got to get up and you got to go get it. And that drive is what really pushes me, is that you have to have that internal drive. You cannot look for external factors to drive and push you in life. You have to be able to find your why and allow that to pivot you forward into your optimal levels of success.
So I absolutely love that. And I just have to add, actually, I just want to ask you something else. As I'm putting your website at the bottom,
Sure.
You talked about bioreference, right? Not having to be connected or feel that you have to be connected. That's powerful. That's powerful because of our commitment, especially how we were raised in our values of being committed to family. What are some of the tips and tools that you could provide to us if there's some relationships that we have to let go because they're not working and there is this bio reference? How can we do that? And why should we do that?
Right. The first thing is really understanding what is the relationship dynamic? What is the importance of that relationship, and really weighing the pros and the cons. I do that with several of my clients. I'm like, let's make a list. What are the positivities of this relationship? What are the cons of it? If the bad outweighs the good, you have to let it go. If it's detrimental to you and it's a one-sided relationship, you're giving more than you're receiving. And so many people get really caught up in that because they're like, it's always better to give than to receive. And that is very true. It can be very, very rewarding. However, if what you're giving is detrimental to you, then it's not okay. If you're giving too much of yourself to where you have nothing left for you, that is when giving is not better than receiving, right? Whenever you're giving so much of you that is toxic and detrimental to you, but so many people get caught up on someone's biological reference in their life, and they utilize that to allow people the levels of access that they have not only to them, but their life, their peace, their mental well-being, their sanity, right? And it's breaking them down to where they have nothing left for them, for their children, for their family. You cannot be afraid. I tell anybody can get cut off at any given time, any moment. You have to begin to put you first. You have to understand that you are somebody too. So many people want to take care of other people and want to be there for someone else. But when is the last time that you remember that you are somebody? You are someone as well. You got to provide yourself that same grace, that same mercy that you provide to everyone else, and understand that you're important. We got to stop putting ourselves on the back burner. Make yourself a priority. I always tell all my business owners all the time, they have this amazing to-do list, and I look at it and I'm like, yeah, bring me your daily schedule. And I'm like, I don't see you anywhere on here. I don't see you on your calendar, right? Like, you have to make time for yourself, set time for yourself, have self-love, self-care days. Christmas comes, I buy myself gifts, wrap them, and put them under the Christmas tree and address them to myself, right? You got to start somewhere. Do that. Take yourself out to eat. Don't be afraid to sit at a table at a restaurant alone. Go to the movies alone. Get to know you, date you, court yourself, right? Spend time with yourself. So many people with my clients that, they'll go through a divorce or a breakup, and I ask them, like, what type of music do you like? What things do you enjoy doing? And they can't answer that question because they don't know themselves. You have to spend time with you, get to know you, and, don't base your life in the hands of someone else.
I absolutely love that. Thank you so much. I know we have our next speaker that is going to come, which is Kirsten. So what I'm going to do is, as we prepare for Kirsten, I just want to give everyone a recap. Dr. Erica, thank you so much. Absolutely amazing. Several comments in the chat. And we are just really happy that you're a part of the SIS Network and able to empower this generation of millennials and show them that there are other things besides everything that you see on social media. You talked about AOL. My generation, I know Melissa can attest to this, there was no internet, okay? I think about it, I'm like, how did we get around with no GPS, right? How do we get around without Waze and Google Maps? We got in the car. We looked at, and my daughters laughed the other day because we were talking about how you would have to go to the store or go to a 7-Eleven and literally buy a map. Okay.
Right.
Literally, our parents, that's how they did it. They literally went and bought a map and they used the map, and look at where we are now. So I just want to thank you so much for joining us. Absolutely powerful. And I
Thank you so
know
much.
readers can't wait to get a hold of this book and to read your chapter.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, listen, I'm telling you, if you have not gotten nuggets so far this morning, one of the things that has been resonating, and this was with Melissa and also Dr. Erica, is to take time for yourself. Melissa talked about getting up every morning at 5:30 a.m. and repeating affirmations. And there were specific affirmations that Melissa shared with us. Dr. Erica talked about dating yourself, courting yourself, putting yourself on your schedule. When it comes to self-love, abundance, and manifestation, these are all things that we need to do to continuously replenish ourselves and fill our cups. What are you doing to replenish? What are you doing to fill your cup? What are you doing to take care of yourself? What about that self-care? What about your own wellness? What about your own healing? Have you worked yourself in your schedule? Before you start your day and you start checking your emails and you start taking phone calls and you start going to work, what is it that you've done to help get yourself in a position where you know everything that happens today is going to be positive, it's going to be for my good, and I am ready to take on the world. Listen, ladies, this is Sisters Inspire Sisters. This is all about self-love, manifestation, and abundance. And if you've noticed, the Sis Empower Network, the Sisters Inspire Sisters Network, is multi-generational. Okay, we are bringing education to you, we're bringing expertise, we're bringing strategies, and we're bringing real life experience from women that have been through obstacles, adversities, and have overcome triumphantly. Thank you so much, Dr. Erica and Melissa. You have been absolutely amazing. I want to introduce our next powerful speaker, and that is Kirsten Driver. Let me tell you a little bit about Kirsten as Kirsten prepares to come to the stage. Okay, I just want to make sure. I don't like to leave anything out because everyone that knows me, I am a big proponent of tooting your own horn. It's important that we always share our accomplishments, not be afraid to say who we are. So, Kirsten Driver. Kirsten N. Driver is the co-owner and chief financial officer of Abundant Living Consulting Corp., a one-stop shop consulting firm for all things business and finance related. Her mission is to help business and families alike attract, obtain, and promote abundance and legacy through education, effective planning, coaching, and mentorship. Serving families and businesses for the past 8 years, Kirsten has said there is no easy way to build a legacy. It takes hard work, sacrifice, drive, and a long-term strategic vision and plan. She helps her clients and community to achieve their goals with a solid and achievable business blueprint and money management manual, which focuses on fundamentals and achieving milestone goals. Kirsten has 8 professional finance licenses, which she uses to educate, mentor, and coach her community. She is currently a certified financial coach, credit and tax specialist, life insurance professional, and soon to add investment and mortgage lending licenses, focusing on using her skill set towards helping everyday hardworking families understand the power and effective planning of finance and legacy. She is passionate about finance fundamentals and utilizing financial products as ways to help build generational wealth. Abundant Living Consulting is the umbrella entity for Credit Flex Technologies, a credit restoration service that specializes in credit and financial literacy coaching. Tax Nest Financials, a full-service financial suite for tax preparation. HR and payroll, accounting and bookkeeping. Financial Freedom Group, a personal and business banking solution service. Like a Boss, a coaching and mentorship conference and summit platform, she is the visionary co-author of the Money Management Manual and the Business Blueprint, a volume series ebook for aspiring business owners. ALCC focuses on building relationships, not financial plans. Finance is something that embodies every aspect of our lives, and as we change, so must our finances. Kirsten is hopeful for the future of her company and is dedicated to its core values with further expansion opportunities on the horizon. Kirsten, my goodness, okay? So that was about 3 or 4 companies in there, and you are doing absolutely amazing things. I don't know where you get the time and where you get the drive to do all of that, but just tell us a little bit about all of those different entities. Actually, I'm already ready to ask you questions, so I'm just going to stop with the questions. Let me just remove myself so you can go ahead and take the stage and tell us a little bit more about you and your chapter and self-love, abundance, and manifestation. Okay, Kirsten, I think your mic is muted.
There we go. So thank you for the large introduction. As she stated, my name is Kirsten Driver. I am the Chief Financial Officer of Abundant Living and co-founder of our umbrella entity, where our core mission is to impact a generation. So to do that, yes, I have a lot of things going on, but it really stems from my drive to help our community change our net worth. There was a report that was released in 2018 that stated that collectively as a whole, our Black community's net worth would be 0% if something drastically wasn't done to change those numbers. So that's why I have the drive. That's why I have the ambitions that I have, where I'm overseeing the many businesses that I have. But as it relates to abundance, self-love, and manifestation, when it comes here, I want our sisters to know how powerful you are. And if you just tap into your own belief system, what you can accomplish. There is no limits to the things that you can do for yourself, your community, and those around you. When I'm talking about this, I want us to understand the power that we as women have naturally. Okay, so when you think about a woman, okay, whatever you give her, she is going to multiply whatever that is. So if you give her, let's just bring it down to the realness, okay? If you give us seed, we create a baby, right? If you give us a house, we make it a home. If you give us an opportunity for advancement in either our careers or our business, we're going to optimize that. Whatever you give us as a woman, we multiply that, whatever that is, tenfold, sometimes 1,000. Okay, but I also want us to understand that when it comes to us and our environment, what are we nurturing ourselves? Okay. I'm sorry, can you guys hear me? When it comes to what we're doing for ourselves, we need to understand that when we're not tackling childhood traumas,
Okay, everyone, listen, technical difficulties will not stop us. We were just hearing from Kirsten. I'm pretty sure that Kirsten's going to log right back in. In the meantime, I just want to share some information with you regarding Sisters Inspire Sisters. You can visit our website at sistersinspiresisters.com. You can find out about our membership, all of the wonderful things that we're doing. We have an event coming up in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is Saturday, April 9th, which is the Sisters Inspire Sisters Boss Tour. We have an amazing lineup of speakers, some powerhouse women in the Charlotte and North Carolina areas. We also are really proud to be honoring Mr. Kenneth Robinson, who is the founder of Freedom Fighting Missionaries. Kenneth Robinson started this organization about 2 years ago, where he started at zero in terms of funding and has now been able to raise over $1 million. He is helping former, I want to say those incarcerated, formerly incarcerated, reduce recidivism rate. He has a dynamic reentry program, and he's also helping with supportive housing and other counseling services. While we are waiting for Kristen to come back in, I want to move along to our next dynamic speaker and presentation, and that is Miss Tamisha Isaac. So just to tell you a little bit about Tamisha, Tamisha is also a member of the CIS Network, an award-winning philanthropist, founder and CEO of Miss Misha's World Empowerment LLC and Openly Positive Inc. Tamisha Isaac, entrepreneur and motivational speaker, life purpose coach, and linkage to care specialist, is an openly positive HIV activist of a global empowerment movement, gaining recognition for her activism. Tamisha is dedicated and on a mission to change lives and empower them to fight for themselves and not allow a diagnosis of HIV to deter them from living out their dreams, while bringing awareness and HIV education to communications worldwide. As an activist and health educator, Ms. Isaac is taking her experiences and selflessly seeking to educate and empower others. Tamisha Isaac has shown courage in sharing her personal story of heartache, pain, triumph, determination, power, and resiliency, moving forward in bravery and transparency. It is a story that can transform and inspire the lives of individuals affected by HIV, whether a personal diagnosis or someone they care for and love. Allow me to bring to the stage Miss Tamisha Isaac.
This virtual summit. Like I said, my name is Tamisha Isaac. I am the founder and CEO of Openly Positive, where healing ignites victory. Openly Positive is an organization that thrives on not only sharing positive stories, but also helping individuals living with a chronic illness to know and live in their truth, and to know that a diagnosis does not define who they are as a person. In this summit, we will learn how to love ourselves, we will learn how to manifest, and we will learn how to live in our abundance. Self-worth. In order for us to have self-love, manifestation, and abundance, we have to first have self-worth. We have to know how worthy we are as women. We have to know how valuable we are as women, not only within the family dynamics, but within community. And community doesn't necessarily mean just where you live. Community is wherever you are, because you are the community. Self-worth in the Webster Dictionary is defined as a feeling that you are a good person who deserves to be treated with respect. Also, self-worth is recognizing that you are greater than all of the things that you thought that you couldn't overcome, you couldn't do, or you couldn't be. Self-worth is acknowledging and knowing that who you are to your core, who you are to your center, is valuable, is worthy, and is amazing. Understanding your self-worth is defined as an internal state of being that comes from self-understanding, self-awareness, self-love, self-acceptance, and having a strong sense of self means that you accept yourself wholeheartedly, despite your flaws, imperfections, and weaknesses. Knowing that you are valuable and remembering that you are always worthy of having whatever it is that you desire. In my self-worth journey, I had to unlearn unhealthy behaviors and negative self-talk I would often have. An example of those negative self-talk is not feeling like I was worthy of ever having anything good or decent in my life. Or another example could be not feeling like I am worthy of a wholeheartedly undramatic relationship. So I had to unlearn some things. I had to unlearn that not only am I worthy of having the things that I told myself that I wasn't worthy of having, but I myself was deserving of having certain things. The other part of understanding your self-worth is, and I got this from Grande 2018, 2 people who are lit with self-worth and happiness from within make a much brighter or happier relationship than 2 people who are trying to absorb light from each other. Having an HIV diagnosis is not an easy illness to navigate, but as I build my self-esteem, as I build my self-worth and self-love and self-understanding and awareness of self, I started valuing me and setting healthy boundaries. What does healthy boundaries look like? Healthy boundaries look like you are no longer ascribing to going places or doing things that deep down, you know that downright you don't want to do, right? Not only do you not want to do it, but you're going against yourself. You're pleasing, you're doing things just to please other people instead of doing things that feels good to you, that just feels good to you, right? Unhealthy boundaries is you're being selfless, you're overextending yourself to others that's not deserving of that side of you. And also the people pleasing. Those are unhealthy boundaries to have. And then also saying yes when you really want to say no. Those are some examples of having unhealthy boundaries. Self-love. What is self-love? Many people define self-love to what it's significance to them. Self-love is the act of putting oneself first, filling one cup up before pouring into others. Self-love is meeting people's needs where they are and not going above and beyond others' capacity to receive at a reciprocal level. This says it right here. I don't have to go no further. It's self-explanatory and it's to the point. Understanding your self-love journey is understanding that loving oneself requires intentionality. to be the love you deserve, and to model what you desire others to give to you in return. You have to first pour that love into yourself. So self-love can look like, I'm going to go on a self-date. I'm going to date myself before I get into my next relationship. I'm going to set boundaries, healthy boundaries with myself, and uphold them with others. If I feel triggered or uneasy in a situation, assess the situation and ask myself, without getting emotional, ask myself, is this situation harming me? Is this situation adding value to me? Or is it depleting value from me? And once you've answered those questions and you have assessed the situation with self, you know your parameters of a healthy or unhealthy relationship. And it doesn't matter the dynamic of the relationship. It could be friendship, it could be colleague, it could be your children, it could be our parents, it could be your family, other family, extended family members, it could be your significant other. An array of relationship dynamics. However, the first relationship starts with you. The love, the self-worth, it all starts with you first. You have to first love you. You have to first pour into you in order for you to pour out into others. So I'm going to give you guys 5 essential things that one should do on their self-love journey. And those 5 essential things are: set non-negotiable boundaries. Setting a non-negotiable boundary is going to help you to obtain not only respect within others in your circle, but also set your standards a little high for yourself. Hold yourself accountable. You want to hold yourself accountable, because if you don't hold yourself accountable and you're expecting for others to be accountable with you or for you, you're never going to get anything done, and you're never going to do anything worth having, because you're looking for outside resources when all the resources is within. Take time out just for you, not your kids, not work, not your husband, not your family or friends, but you. Taking time out for you can look like going on a jog at the park, going to yoga by yourself, if you're into that type of stuff, or in your home, draw yourself a nice warm bath and sit in your tub and soak up that warm, lovely water and bath and scent and aroma. Put on some slow jams or music or jazz or whatever you're into. Light some candles and just bask in the moment of nothingness with yourself. Do something you love. Take yourself out to a movie date. Take yourself on a solo trip. Rediscover who you are as a person. Manifestation. The definition of manifestation is an event, action, or object that clearly shows or embodies something, especially a theory or an abstract idea. The key to manifestation is to act as if you already have. Act as if it's already here. In a sense, become a little delusional. I put here, the key to manifesting your heart desires is to act, think, feel like you already have what you are displaying. For example, I manifested my desired job by creating vision boards, journaling, writing down what my job duties will be, down to what population I serve, and how I would benefit them. Manifestation looks differently for everybody because everybody wants, desires, and needs are different. However, the tools to manifestation are still the same. There's so many different resources and ways and how you can manifest something. I listed some of them there. You can create vision boards. You can have a vision board party. You can journal in the morning, journal in the afternoon, journal in the night. That's a 3-6-9 method. If you haven't heard of it, I suggest you try it. You write 3 things you want in the morning when you first wake up. At your lunchtime, you write 6 things you want within the same context of what you already wrote in the morning. And then in the night when you come home, you write what you want 9 times. That's the 3-6-9 method. There's also the grab avoid method, where there's number sequence, and sometimes people have so many emotions attached to their manifestation, and sometimes those subconscious emotions are negative. They're blockages. They block you from receiving what you want to receive. So the grab avoid codes, a sequence of numbers that when you think of the thing that you want, you just repeat those numbers over and over in a jolly moment, or throw on some feel-good music, some hype you up music, some good vibe music, because you manifest better when you are projecting happy moments. You manifest faster when you are in a phase or in a mood of gratitude. You receive more of what you want when you are operating from a grateful heart, from a grateful spirit, from a grateful energy. I don't know about you guys, but can you guys feel my energy right now? Please put some hearts in the comment box if you feel my energy right now. Whatever you want wants you to. Know that. Whatever you want wants you. Whatever you desire desires you as well. You just have to come into an alignment with it. And just like a piece to a puzzle, it will all connect. So those are some key tools on manifesting. Abundance. When I think of abundance, I think of overflow. I think of always enough, more than enough. More to go around for everybody. Everybody get one. Like Oprah, you get a car, you get a car, you get a car, you get a car, you get a car. That's abundance. And to operate in the spirit of abundance, it's the same with manifestation. You have to operate in an energy or space of gratitude. You have to be grateful for what you have. You have to be grateful for what you had, and you have to be grateful for what's to come. Operating in a state of gratitude and alignment with abundance and manifestation, like pieces to a puzzle, it all comes together. Living a life of abundance does not always equate to financial status. Living in abundance overflow is a way of gratitude to oneself that shows appreciation for the journey, the lessons, and the blessings one received throughout one's life. Abundance is having more than enough of whatever you're seeking or desiring. If you want to start a business and think the market is saturated with what you want to implement, do it anyway, because you are bringing uniqueness to the market with what you have to offer holistically with who you are. Because God could place a vision in me and he could place the same vision in you. However, though it may be the same, it still have our own unique touch to it because we are different individuals. And though we may be created in God's likeness and image, we are still all different because we were given the power of choice. And when you have the power of choice, you can create anything and put your twist to it and make it yours. An excellent book I recommend to read and assist you on your self-discovery journey is The Mountain Is You by Brianna Waste. Some of my favorite quotes in closing is from Frank Outlaw. Watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your comments, they become your actions. Watch your actions, they become your habits. Watch your habits, they become your character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. Those are powerful, powerful quotes that I live and go by, because what we do today is what's going to provide for our tomorrow. So if we're not intentional with ourselves, if we don't set healthy boundaries with ourselves, how do we expect others to give us that? How do we expect others to meet us where we are not? So I implore you ladies today to dig deep, dig within yourself, and know that you are worthy of having all of this. One of the things, my 5 P's, and I'm going to close out with my 5 P's. My 5 P's are passion, purpose, preparation, prayer, and provision. I couldn't be Tamisha Isaac without those implementations in my life. Passion for me is an intense desire and enthusiasm of something. Within having a chronic illness, stigma often was a barrier of me pursuing my passion. Being stigmatized, not only by community, but self-stigmatization. It was mental, it was emotional, and it was spiritual. I couldn't break free and live in my purpose and passion until I break free of stigma and relearn and reparent myself. I had to rediscover myself. I had to go through an emotional, mental death in order for me to be rebirthed to the person that you see today. So stigma will, my will is to eradicate stigma. That's what drives my passion. On here, I said there are so many misconceptions of what HIV looks like and who contracts HIV and why they contract HIV. It's very real and a conversation that often doesn't happen for lack of knowledge on the subject matter and also a fear. These are some tools that you guys can use. There's a self-esteem checkup here, and you rate yourself, and it tells you here, how you can do this exercise. Do daily self-love worksheets. Write little love notes to yourself. It don't have to be nothing extended. It don't have to be nothing crazy. You can write little love notes to yourself that you stick up in certain intimate places in your house, like your bedroom or your bathroom, if you have a bathroom that you only use and you're not sharing with anyone else. Or if you have a family and you want to include them too, you can write some family quotes or some family love notes and you stick it around the house, like in the dining room area or in the back of your door when you first come in, when you close the door, when you turn around and you see your love notes. Sometimes it puts a smile on your face. Another quote from Ruby Kerr, it's, how you love yourself is how you teach others to love you. And that is so true. That is so true. Make yourself a priority once in a while. It's not selfish, but it's very necessary. My 5 P's, prayer and passion, allows me to be still and listen to my inner deepest voice so that I can make the best choices in my life and be intentional with my decisions and my actions. Purpose and passions enables me to fertilize my soul better. It serves and to serve and to show up authentically. And of course, the benefit of it all is provision, right? Because I apply the first 4, to achieve my results, and provision come, right? Because when you toil your soil, provision is definitely following suit, right? Here are some resources for you guys. these are the links to my website and a Pinterest workbook. It's a digital workbook that you can get on my Etsy shop. And if you click on this link, and it will take you, if you click on this QR code, it should take you straight to the self-love healing ebook, journal, and affirmation page. And of course, we are doing the promotion for the Sister Inspiring Sisters anthology book. Make sure that you subscribe. Make sure you stay plugged in with Monique. She always has something juicy brewing. Again, I am Tamisha Isaac. I am the CEO and founder of Openly Positive. It was my pleasure to be one of your presenters for today. I hope that you enjoyed and you got a few nuggets from my PowerPoints. Here are the way we can stay connected. You can find me on Instagram at Miss Nisha721 or at Openly Positive. You can also find me at Miss Nisha721 on TikTok and also at Openly Positive on Facebook. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. Talk to you soon.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Misha. That was absolutely phenomenal. I am really just honored to have Miss Tamisha as part of our project and part of the Sisters Inspire Sisters. It looks like we might be frozen, so I just want to refresh really quickly just to make sure we're okay. Okay, so I don't know if we are still frozen. I hope we are not, but what I'm going to do is bring Miss Kirsten back to the stage. Miss Kirsten, are you ready? Okay, here we go. Kirsten, the stage is yours.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that. Apologies for earlier. We lost connection there. But I just wanted to shout out Tamisha. That was a phenomenal presentation that you gave, and it actually kind of steers into what I'm going to be talking about. So what I want to talk about is abundance, manifestation, and love, and how it must first start with you. Okay. Or if you wanted to internalize it, how it must first start with me. Okay, so if you guys that are here and listening, I want you to take out some paper. I want you guys to be interactive with me. You don't necessarily have to, answer these comment or these questions that I'm going to answer in the comments, but, write them down for you. Okay, so some of the first questions I want to ask you are, what did you want to be when you grow up? Okay, what kind of dreams did you have? What were your aspirations, your passions? Okay, and by the end of this, I want to help you to identify where did it all go. Right. So when we started, when we were younger, when we were kids, for me, I wanted to be a surgeon. Right. But what happened and how is it that I got to become a financial professional today? Okay. So what I want us to talk about is that we as women have a phenomenal gift that we're able to just, take on and wear multiple hats and handle the children, handle the job. If we're business owners, run that, right? How is it that we're able to do all that? It's our God-given ability to incubate, okay? So our biological nature allows us to compartmentalize and multitask efficiently, okay? We have to be, with the hormones, the children, right? Everything about us was created to be able to maximize whatever it is that we're given, okay? We have a God-given ability to amplify and with our intuitive nature. Okay, so it's something that I really admire about us as women and having the ability to have compassion, to serve, and to build. Okay, so again, what I was talking about before, I don't know if we heard it when I first start off. Whatever you give us, we're able to multiply that 10 to 1,000 fold. Right, so I stated that if you give us a house, we make it a home, right? We paint, we add decor, we make it really inviting, right? If we have a job or a career or a business, right, we're going to optimize and organize, right? We're going to expand that business, right? That's why right now the statistics show that women right now have the most successful businesses, and it's because of our ability to organize and being able to do things multiply, right? And then lastly, like if you give a seed, we have a baby, we're able to bring life into this world. Okay. So when we as women are in a good place mentally, physically, and spiritually, there really is no limit to what that we can do or what we can accomplish, right? Many of the stories that you're hearing today is a testament to that. All right. But I also want to talk about, well, what happens instead of love and joy and peace? What happens when malice is given to us? What happens when negativity is given to us? What are we able to create when those things are present? Okay, so the truth of the matter is that when we are torn down, we feel betrayed, or we hurt, we will continue to do what it is that we do, right? We just simply camouflage, right? We put on a mask and say everything is okay, and we smile outwardly, but internally we're hurting and we have some pain. And then if we don't correct those things over time, we regress. We become a lesser version of ourselves, and then over time, our ability to create, it begins to die. Okay, so going back to those questions that I asked, what did you want to be when you grow up? Right? What dreams and aspirations and passions did you have? Okay, and now we're going to start tackling what happened to it and where did it go. Okay, so with those questions, I want you to identify a time in your youth that you felt, your strongest, right? You were the most happiest person. You believed that anything was possible and you actually did those things. What age were you? I want you to write that down, right? And then after that, I want you to ask yourself, I want you to think about it and just kind of let that time in your life just fill you up, right? Let it embody you, and you become happy about it, and just let that light fill you up, okay? So what drove those passions and ambitions, right? Why did you feel that way, okay? Now, also with that, I also want you to think about a time in your youth. When did those goals and those dreams stop? Okay, I want you to think about at that age, what was going on in your life. Okay, because what we want to identify is, when did we stop believing that anything was possible? Okay, so when we have this identification of when that happened, reason why this is important is because over the years of me helping families and businesses, I've come to realize that we cannot move forward with abundance, manifestation, or love when we have a blockage, right? So when we have that blockage internally and subconsciously, it tells us that we cannot do whatever it is that we set out to do. Right? So kind of bring this in perspective and how I kind of use this in the world of finance. So when I sit down with families, of course I help them, build good financial habits. I help them to identify and make a plan so that they can stick to it. I coach them through that process so that they have an accountability partner. But more times than not, what I'm really doing in order to help get families there is I have to tackle the belief system. And in regards to tackling the belief system, I have to identify, when did they believe that anything wasn't possible? Because if you believe that nothing is possible, you're never going to get to that next step. If you believe that you're not worthy or you're not deserving of abundance, manifestation, or love, or having the type of lifestyle that you want, or achieving the career status, or opening a business, if you have those blockages in place, you're never going to get there. Okay. So to kind of put this in perspective, I had a young lady. I want to say she was maybe, 24, 25 years old. She had about 4 kids at the time. Okay. So sitting down with her, I asked her these same questions, right? And then through the process of this, she identified that around the age of 12, her mother had cancer, right? And About 3 years later, her mother passed away. But during this time, her mother was also telling her, you're never going to be anything. You're never going to accomplish things. Just give up on life because, all life is bad, right? So with that being stated, she realized that, around that age, she stopped believing in herself and stopped believing that all things were possible. So that when she fast forward, now she's 24, 25 years old with kids of her own, and she's struggling financially and she's not understanding why she can't get to where she wants to be. It all stemmed from that childhood trauma that she had at the age of 12. So ways that I combat this is I began to pour back into her. I began to give her words of affirmations. I began to tell her that she is worthy of all things. She is worthy of love. She is worthy of, attaining the jobs that she wants. She can purchase a home, and she can do that before she's 30, right? But with that, I also had to tackle her mindset. So I gave her some resources, right? I highly, highly, highly recommend these books that I'm going to, speak about. So Start With Why by Simon Sinek, okay? Beyond Positive Thinking by Robert Anthony. Boundaries by John Townsend. Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And Atomic Habits by James Clear. All those books I highly recommend on your journey towards abundance and legacy and whatever it is that you want to do, because it's going to fuel you with positive affirmations and development skills so that you can actually get to where you want to be. It's a process, okay? So with that said, after she read these books and through her coaching with me and us working with her finances, right, after about a year and a half, she was seeing success. So I also want to let you guys know that the path to healing, the path to success, the path to abundance and legacy, it is not something that happens in a short period of time, right? You got to put in the work, and you have to be okay with hurting to get to the healing, okay? So can you guys kind of understand that, our natural ability to incubate also is attached to some of our negative thinking, right? The environment that we surround ourselves produces the type of environment that we have. So if we are constantly being surrounded with, negativity of I can't, do you see how that kind of transitions into a place where you can't reach the goals that you set for yourself? You always find yourself maybe with the same type of person relationship-wise, or you're stuck in your business and you can't identify why you can't move forward, right? Or you're always surrounded by people who are taking from you, right? Whatever that's happening internally will naturally come out externally, okay? So with that said, I want everyone here to know that you are worthy, okay? You're beautiful, and that you are loved just as you are, and you do not need to prove yourself to anybody. Right now, you're worthy, okay? So your self-worth does not come from outside influences, but it comes within. And you have to feed yourself positive things that's going to change your perspective and to ultimately change your environment in order to get to where you want to be. Okay, because if you don't, self-doubt steeps in. Subconsciously, you're going to self-sabotage if you don't. Okay, so you may not even know that you're doing these things. All right, but those are false realities, and they do not have to be your future. You just have to make the decision that you deserve more, and then connect with individuals, change your environment, and surround yourself with positivity and love in order for you to change your future. Okay, I want us to normalize healing. Okay, let's not be afraid to go out and seek professional help. Okay, it's not a bad thing, whether in the world of finance or whether it's going and speaking with a therapist, because childhood traumas really do exist, and they really do impact our pathway to success. Okay, so I did not get to where I was, that long list that Miss Monique was talking about. I didn't get there by myself. I had somebody who saw me hurting, the mask that I was wearing that I mentioned earlier, my drive to success. I had a smile and everything's fine, but internally I was really hurting, right? I had some traumas myself that I wasn't dealing with. I grew up in a military household, right? My mom was a master sergeant, and she was very critical, and she did the best that she could, right? But I was struggling and crying out for her love and her attention, but that type of trauma and not being able to articulate and communicate the pain that I was feeling towards her, right, kind of followed me into my adult life. It took 12 years for me to heal from everything that was going on in my childhood to where I am today. Okay. So with that said, I want you to be able to find a sister that you can have for your mental health. Find a sister that you can have for your spiritual health. Find somebody for your marriage and your family health, your business health, your finance health, and also find people that you can connect with that want to see you win. Okay, because let's be honest, everyone out here does not want to see you win, especially when you are on that path and you told yourself, okay, I want this. There's going to be people around you who want to see you fail because they too are hurting. Okay, so be intentional with who you surround yourself with, and let those people also hold you accountable to the things that you say that you want to do. Okay, so in closing, I just want to say that anything's possible. Okay, God gave us the natural ability to create. Even in His Word, He says that you will do greater things than I have, right? Everything that you need is inside of you. You just have to do the work and dig deep to bring out those rubies that you have, right? You are unique, you are special, you are beautiful just the way that you are, okay? But sometimes you have to surround yourself with somebody that has greater vision to help pull you along, okay? So in regards, thank you for the opportunity for speaking here. If anybody wants to connect with me, I can be reached at any of the social media platforms with Abundance Starts Here. I am also offering free complimentary 3-month coaching program to anybody that's in here, whether business or personal, where I will walk through with you with this opportunity and a lot of things.
Okay, so I don't know why we're having so many technical difficulties today, but I can't wait for Kirsten to get back on, because I don't know if everyone heard that. Kirsten just said she is doing 3-month complimentary coaching. There were so many great things that Kirsten talked about that went from let's normalize healing and seeking professional help. Your self-worth does not come from outside influencers. There were absolutely nuggets talking about having an accountability partner, right? Having a sister that's there for you for your mental health, having a sister that's there for you for your spiritual health, having a sister, and these might be different people that are there for you for help with your marriage and help with counseling, help professionally, help with your business. All of this has been absolutely amazing. Great, great information. Kirsten, I want to thank you so much for that. You can reach out to Kirsten at abundantliving.com. And I'm going to put her website back up here again, just in case you weren't able to get her website, www.abundantlivingcc.org. www.abundantlivingcc.org. So I want to thank everyone for being with us today, for participating. We do have a few more speakers that are coming on. What we're going to do is take a 10-minute break, and let's see, it's 11:45. We will be back on up and running in about 10 minutes. We have some more dynamic speakers that are ready to share, ready to pour into you, and ready to continue to discuss information, tools, tips, and strategies for self-love, manifestation, and abundance. We'll be back in 10. Thank you.
Here we go. It's my time to rise. It's my time to shine. It's my time to live. It's my time to fly. It's my time. It's my time. I can see it. I can feel it. Time has come now to reveal it. I've been waiting for a long time now to do it. And won't let nothing hold me down. Gotta do it. Because I may not get another chance. I believe it. If I want it, I can have it. I believe it. Done with falling, done with losing. I can do it. I think I'll tell myself again. I can do it. Yeah. And I'm not gonna stop till I win. It's my time to rise. Hey. It's my time to shine. Oh. It's my time to live. Time to live. Time to fly. It's my time. It's my time. She's a diva, yeah. She's a diva full of drama. Don't believe her. Hearing things that people saying got me twisted. So much fiction, not much fact. Got you twisted. Oh, and ain't nobody got time for that. See, my moment has now arrived. And I won't let it pass me by. It's my time to rise. It's my time to shine. It's my time to live. Time to live. It's my time. It's my time.
Hello, everyone. Listen, thank you for hanging around with us during our 10-minute break. This morning has been absolutely amazing. We still have some phenomenal speakers to hear from, but I don't know if you were taking notes, okay? Kirsten gave us some dynamic pointers and also told you to take out your notebooks. I hope you listened because we got a lot of juicy information, but I don't know if you caught in the end that there was an offer for 3 months. Yes, you heard me correctly. 3 months complimentary sessions. And I want to bring Kirsten back on just to tell us a little bit about those services and what's available to our audience, because I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, that's priceless. So, Kirsten, tell us a little bit about what your offer was at the end.
Yes, ma'am. So again, apologies, my connection here, but to piggyback off of that, I am giving anyone that is interested a free 3 months complimentary financial coaching session with me, in which I tackle a lot of the things that we talked about, when I was giving my presentation. And it also includes financial coaching. Okay, so by the end of that 3 months, I want you to be educated. I want you to have a financial plan for the next 20 years. That plan is going to include what is going on, a 360-degree view of what's going on with your money. We're going to correct your financial house. We're going to give you a manual of how to grow your income and how to have the ability to pass on legacy, right? Meaning having a set amount of money that we're strategically putting away for our children, and then also giving our children the steps of how to be financially well, how understanding financial concepts. I didn't even get to talk about the rule of 72 or dollar cost averaging or investments and protection plans. But long story short, that's kind of what that 3 months talks about. You're going to get one-on-one coaching with me. And by the end of those 3 months, you'll have a plan that you can use and execute.
That is absolutely amazing. I want to thank you for that. And that's something that I'm going to make sure I put in the comments and that we're going to share. But just really, while I have you, there were 2 things that I needed. One is if you can, again, go over that list of recommended readings. There were some books that you recommended. If you can just share those with us again. I was trying to get them all written down. But
Yes.
a lot of good information.
So the first book that I recommend is Start With Why by Simon Sinek. That book is going to help you to identify what your goals are and why you want them, and how to have a strong enough belief system in yourself so that when things get hard, you can lean back on that why to push you forward to success and, what I like to call, abundance and legacy, right? The next book is Beyond Positive Thinking. So when it comes to self-development, it naturally changes your perspective. And when you're able to change your perspective and have a larger viewing, right, you begin to think differently, right? You begin to believe in yourself. But what happens beyond positive thinking? What steps do you need to do to make sure that you're achieving those goals that you set out for? You need to have a belief system past belief. Right? You actually need to be doing something about it. Okay. The next book I recommend is this is the first finance book, right? So it's called Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. So that is a phenomenal book. And it was one of the first books that I read that really changed my perspective of how I visualized, managed, and what my relationship was when it came to money. Okay. So before I started all of this, my mom taught me, the best that she could, right? She said, you need to have a good credit score. You need not to, you need to have a budget and, something that you live for. But my belief system at the time was, okay, let's prepare for the week, right? Let's make sure, like, when I get paid, I have enough money, come next Friday. I did not have vision for what my finances needed to look like a year out, 10 years out, 20 years out. Okay. So this book helped with that. All right. Another book that I recommend is Atomic Habits. This book is going to rip you a new one, okay? It's really going to challenge you in what your habits are and how to critique them in a way that those habits become a lifestyle, okay? So when we're talking about building habits, first we need to tear down the old ones, okay? So typically it takes 30 days to replace a habit, okay? It takes another 30 days to replace that habit. And then it takes 2 to 3 months for that habit to start to become a lifestyle. So we're really talking about anywhere between 6 to 9 months for a habit to be broken and then to a place to where it's become a lifestyle. And that's what we want when in regards to business, finance, self-development, self-worth, right? Anything that you're doing with your family or children, those all take habits to do. And it's not something that happens overnight. So I want you to have grace and give yourself patience and be okay with the process that you go about doing these things, okay? And then again, bringing back to what I started with, was connect with people who want to see you win. Okay, be very, very, very intentional with who you give your energy to, who you give your time to, because as you're reading all these things and executing them, you want people who are in your circle who are going to say, hoorah, celebrate your wins, and also hold you accountable when you are not doing what you need to be doing. Okay. So yeah, those how many books did I give you? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books. Okay, those 5 books is what I recommend.
So thank you so much. And before you leave, before you go, you
Yes.
talked about during your presentation, which was excellent, you talked about healing from trauma. And that's one of the things that we have to do in order to get to that self-love, manifestation, and abundance. We have to realize that there are some things internally that we've dealt with or haven't dealt with that are stopping us. How did you know? How did you know? Because if you don't know, you don't know. How did you know that, hey, there's something going on here?
Again, so towards the end, I said, I am not where I am on my own accord. I had a community, I had people with me. So when I started this journey of self-healing and self-love, really about 12 years ago, it started with my husband's sister, right? So at the time, I was kind of homeless. I was jumping around from place to place, and a woman that I met through my church took me in, right? I eventually became good friends with her oldest daughter. And through that connection, she started to show me some things of what I was dealing with from her perspective. And I started to work on those things. And then that journey led me to another woman who I do business with. I also help manage a community center out in South Bend, Indiana. It's called I'm Power. Inside of that, she led me to a group of great men that have a program that's called ACEs. So ACEs stands for Adverse Childhood Trauma. And inside of that program, it helps individuals to identify what level of trauma they have. So they have a list, and as you go through this program, you begin to check off what those traumas are, and they help you to identify how those traumas have impacted your current life and where you want to be, and how it's created a wall or a roadblock, and how you're meeting resistance, right? So it was through that program that I started to identify, okay, what are my triggers, right? At the time, I had a very hard time articulating me, my emotions, what I kept bottled up, the masks that I was wearing because of how I grew up inside of a military, family. Much of what my mother taught me has had a positive impact on me, but because just the way that the military is, and they teach you how to turn off your emotions. My mom, who's been in that program since she was 17, kind of did the same thing. So for me, I didn't think that I was valuable unless I was bringing home good grades, or unless I had something positive to say, or I wasn't able to connect with her in a mother-daughter way that I really wanted, right? So it was hard for me to articulate my feelings and my emotions and that led into my relationship with my husband, and how I talk to other people, right? So I wasn't being true to myself, right? So after I'd gone through this program and read these books and connected with women that were empowering to me, I began to take off that load, right? And as you begin to embrace the real you and tell yourself that you are worthy of all these things like that, that stuff falls off. And I forget what poem it is, but it talks about what are you afraid of? And it's not that we're inadequate, but it's actually that we are everything that we need. And we are afraid to let our light shine. And
Yes.
because of the community that we're in, much of the outside of word is telling us to delinquish ourselves, make ourselves smaller to fit into the community. But what God has told us to do is that to be everything that you are, be all that I've created you to be, all your quirks, all of your, your goofiness or your talents, your gifts, put that on display for the world to see, because no one out here is like you, and your story will impact somebody else if you give yourself the opportunity to shine, right? Your light naturally allows others to liberate themselves, right? So what I love most about your platform is it's a platform to do just that, right? And that's how we heal as a body. That's how we go out and impact others, when we embrace our flaws and say it's okay. This is what we do. This is what you got to do to get out of it, right?
Wow. Thank you. So I am just, first of all, I want to thank you again. And this is like what makes me feel so good when I know when things come into alignment and we have the right women that are part of this network. So when I say we have the right women, we have the right women. And if you have not been filled so far from what you've heard today, please go back to your notes, listen to the replay. Kirsten, you gave us so much valuable information. I know that our audience cannot wait to read your chapter. Kirsten is also going to be with us for the Sis Boss Tour in Charlotte live. Listen, if you haven't gotten your tickets, you need to go to Eventbrite and look up Sis Boss Tour Charlotte. It is going to be a dynamic event. There's so many great things that you spoke about. I cannot wait to have another conversation and also for you to be a guest on Sis Table Talk. So we have a lot more work to do. Thank you so much, Kirsten. Remember, everyone, please get in touch with Kirsten. Think about that 3-month complimentary consultation and coaching. I mean, where else will that happen except for in the Sis Network? I'm just going to keep it real. Who does that? 3 months complimentary, and it includes financial coaching and some invaluable information. And you can go to abundantlivingcc.org to get in touch with Kirsten, abundantlivingcc.org. Once again, Kirsten, thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay, we have had, again, just a dynamic morning. I am going to introduce our next speaker, which is another one of our network members, and that is Miss Sandra Chaney. I want to tell you a little bit about Miss Chaney. And again, I'm reading bios today because I think it's important that you understand the women that are in the room, the impact that they've had, and all of the great and wonderful things and accomplishments that they've done. So Miss Chaney, Sandra Chaney, is a Les Brown certified motivational speaker, 8-time best-selling author, certified empowerment coach and nonprofit strategist, and is on a global assignment to help empower women to transform their mind and heal their souls so they can live their best in life and business. Her personal and professional experiences have led her to become a certified fatherless daughter advocate for the Fatherless Daughter Network. This network's platform is built on elevating the awareness of the impact that fatherlessness has on a female's life. She has also served on the board of several nonprofits whose passion is to help women and children who have experienced domestic violence. Sandra has worked with the Clairol Cosmetic Company and Southern Living Magazine to produce a video that trains salon stylists on domestic violence in 9 states and was one of several women featured in Red Book Magazine, national video promoting stories of women who are conquerors of domestic violence. In addition, she has used her experience as a federal grant reviewer to teach and coach nonprofit organizations how to build a solid foundation so that they can have major impact in the communities they are serving. In this capacity, she has assisted in securing over 15 million plus in grant funds for nonprofit organizations. Sandra is now the host of a podcast entitled The Profit in Nonprofit. This podcast is for those who are interested in learning how to start, build, and fund a nonprofit. The wind beneath her wings is from the loving and faithful support of her husband, Kevin Chaney, and the pulse of her heart, Maurice Dews, her son. Sandra lives her life by this motto: everything I do, say, and offer the world will come from a deep place of love. Let me introduce my sister, Miss Sandra Chaney of Sandra Chaney Enterprises. Sandra, I'm just going to go ahead. I just want to thank you. You are an absolute dynamic person. You have contributed so much to the network, and I'm just so glad that you're a part of it. I'm going to go ahead and leave the stage and pass you the mic. And once again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Monique. It is my pleasure, everyone, to be here. Again, I am Sandra Chaney, and I'm just going to jump right in because I want to talk to you today about having a love affair with yourself. You know, I know the theme for this particular anthology is about self-love, manifestation, and abundance. But what I've come to learn for myself personally is that you can't manifest the life that you want. You can't walk fully in abundance if you first do not love yourself. There's no way. You can't give to somebody else what you cannot give to yourself. You can't give to somebody else if someone always has their hand in your cup, right? And if they keep putting their hand in your cup, there's going to be a hole eventually from them trying to scrape the bottom of that cup. So I want you to, for those who are listening now and those who may come back and listen to it later, you know, hopefully you are taking some notes. But I also want you to listen with your heart and with your soul, because sometimes we're busy doing things, right? And we're constantly over here, especially as women. We're here, we're there, we're everything to everybody. But who are we to ourselves? In this last year, 2021, I'm going to put the year in there because, you know, when we have like video and digital and things like that, it outlives us, right? So we don't know who's going to listen to this years from now. So last year in 2021, I suffered a bad car accident, and then I had COVID. I had to shut everything down for 6 months. And I'm sharing that because it was significant in my life. I thought that I was loving myself. I thought that, you know, I'm manifesting these great things because it seemed like I was. I also thought I was living an abundant life. And I'm not saying that I was a pauper. I'm not saying that, you know, not everything wasn't great. It was. But what I've come to understand that I didn't even tap into a tenth of what God has for me. Right? So I had to sit down for 6 months because I had to heal. And in that 6 months, I began to pull back layers. See, when we don't sit down, because we're constantly going and going and going and going and going, when do you sit down to take care of you? Yes, I know if you're married, the husband may need this. If you're a mom, the children may need that. And I'm all of those. And I'm also a business owner, I'm an entrepreneur. Even with all those things going on, it won't matter if I don't sit down and begin to have a love affair with myself. I saw this quote that I wanted to read, and it was by Dr. Steve Maraboli, and it says, Love yourself enough to take actions required for your happiness. Love yourself enough to cut yourself loose from the ties of the drama-filled past. But those things that we hold on to, that we think we're not holding on to, because we're holding on to some stuff. Love yourself enough to move on. When I sat down for those 6 months, I recognized there were things I was still holding on, people, places that I no longer needed to be. For instance, how many groups have you joined on Facebook? Just think about that. How many groups have you joined on Facebook that you're no longer probably active in, but you're still in them, right? That's energy. You may not think it is, but that's clutter that's taking up your space, your energetic space. So you have to look at everything that pertains to you. Iyanla has this thing, Iyanla Van Zandt. I used to hear her say this all the time. And I used to think about that and wonder, what does that have to do with me? And she said, until you heal the wounds of your past, you will continue to bleed into your future. See, self-love is also about healing. Physician, heal thyself. You must heal you, because think about it. We came into this world naked. We didn't come into this world with any preconceived notions. We came into this world as babies, free, doing whatever we wanted to do, having a mind of our own. It wasn't until we started walking and hearing and seeing and listening that things began to shape our minds, began to shape who we think we're supposed to be, begin to shape the way that we handle and do things. Have you ever thought about why you do the things that you do and why you do them the way that you do them? It's not because of something that you sat down and maybe decided you want to do. It's because of things that you saw, things that maybe you saw your mother do or your grandmother do or your friends. But when do you sit down and decide, what do I want to do for myself? And that's what those last 6 months for me were about. Sitting down, and I didn't want to, but I was forced to. So my first point to you is, don't wait until you're forced, right? We only have 86,400 seconds in a day. What are you doing with that 86,400 seconds? How are you loving on yourself? What are you doing for you? Do you carve out 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour of your day to just breathe, right? Take a moment and just breathe. Because how you do one thing is how you do everything. And listening to Kirsten a few minutes ago, right, talking about finances, how you do one thing is how you do everything. If your finances are jacked in your personal life, 9 times out of 10, if you are a business owner, they're going to be jacked there too, right? Because you haven't had the time to sit down and just focus on you. Because until you get you right, you're going to bleed into everything else. Everything else is going to be messed up until you get you right. We've come into this world with heartbeats, so many heartbeats. And I heard that from a mentor. And she said, what do you do with those heartbeats on a daily basis? Do you give them away to other people who are not deserving? Do you use your energy in a way that's not becoming of you? Because that's giving away your seconds and your heartbeat. These are things you cannot get back. What are you doing? Right? I had to discover that for myself in these 6 months these last 6 months of my life. You don't realize that you're ready to live until you think you're getting ready to die. And when I had that car accident, because I'm still sitting here, says that there's some amazing things I'm supposed to be doing, right? Some amazing things. So let me get about doing that. But before I do that, let me take care of myself. And what I know for sure, and this is what I learned about me, is that fear was one of the culprits. The reason why we don't own our stage, the reason why we don't take time to be selfish and have a love affair with ourselves is because we think that we can't. We think that we're going to miss out on something. We think that this won't get done, that won't get done. Fear is the culprit to every single thing. And when you allow it in, it stops you from doing what you need to do for yourself, right? There's a word in that great good book, and it says, there's no fear because perfect love casts out fear. Fear hath no torment. He that fear is not made perfect in love. Fear is the foundation of why we hold on to our past hurts, why we hold on to grudges, why sometimes we can't move forward. But today, I want to ask you to push past your fear, because the opposite of fear is love. Love is an action word, right? Think about that. When you love yourself, how do you feel? Can I tell you, every single morning when I get up, before I do anything, I'm doing gratitude. I'm grateful just to breathe. I'm great because when you get COVID, the first thing COVID tries to attack is your oxygen. Right? That's the first thing for a lot of people. So every morning I wake up, breath is mine. Is like, thank you, God, for the breath. Thank you, God, that I'm still here. What are you grateful for? Get a journal and write down every day your gratitudes in the morning and in the evening. Another thing I'm going to suggest for you is do scripting. And I don't know if all of you have heard of scripting, but scripting is you're writing down what you want to see your life look like as if it's already happening right now. For instance, if you're a homeowner looking to buy a house, right? You script that thing out as if you're already in that house, walking through it. What does your day look like when you get up in the morning? Scripting. Take some time for you. And that's how you flow into a manifestation and into abundance. Your gratitude, your scripting. You're writing these things down on a daily basis. You have a spiritual practice that you do consistently every single day. That's how you push through the fear. That's how you begin to heal those wounds, because you're taking time for you. I wrote in my book, The Woman Within is an Inside Job, which I would encourage, as a shameless plug, I would encourage you to, go on my website and pick that up. But I wrote in my book, and that's only because, again, I was going through my own metamorphosis. I've been on this journey now for a while. And I wrote in this book, words that you allow to enter into your mind become your thoughts. Your thoughts become your emotions, your conversations, your actions, and pretty soon your actions is what you manifest. If you're not happy with what you're seeing around you, you have to change what's going in you. And that starts with self-love. It starts with you. We're energy. People talk about money, and money is a big part, as Kirsten talked about finances. But you cannot manifest what you want to see great in your life if you don't first take care of you, right? I am manifestations. What are you doing with the I am? Write down, I am this. I am great. I am wonderful. I am beautiful. I am enough. I am genius. I am peace. I am joy. I am that I am. When Moses asked God, who should I say sent me? And God said, I am that I am. Say that to yourself. I am that I am. I am a most powerful being because you are. Did you know, because we are energy, water, we're made up of 80% water. That's energy. We flow like the current, like the ocean, right? We flow like that. Same thing with money. If you want to manifest loads of money in your life, remember, money comes in all forms. It's not just green, guys. It comes in gifts. It comes in rest. It comes in abundance. It comes in joy. It comes in all of those things. So we have to change how we see money. Money can flow any kind of way it wants to. But I heard this breakdown of money, and I loved it. I heard it from a speaker, and I want to tell you, money from an affirmational standpoint is my own natural energy yielding. My own natural energy yielding. MONEY. Think about money from that standpoint. Your own natural energy yielding. What energy are you putting out? Is it self-love from yourself first? Because what you put out is what you're going to get back. It's what you're going to get back. And I encourage you to remind yourself of who you are. And if there's some forgiveness, that's number two. There's some forgiveness. Forgive yourself first. No matter what you did yesterday, forgive it. Let it go. It is okay because you did the best that you could do with what you had at that time. Forgive yourself, forgive the other person. And just remember, 86,400 seconds in a day is what you have. What are you doing with those 86,400 seconds in a day? What are you doing with your heartbeats? Are you walking in fear constantly? It's okay. It's okay to just be. It's okay to know I did the best that I could. It's okay because when you are your own natural energy, my own natural energy yielding, when you remind yourself of that every single day, that is you manifesting. That is you manifesting your dreams and your desires. That is you walking in abundance. That is you remembering that I am, that I am, that I am enough. That is you. You have everything you need inside of you. So I want you to choose you today. I want you to choose to heal yourself today. I want you to choose through your breath, through your I am affirmations, through your gratitude, through taking out 5, 10, 15, 20, however minutes you have for yourself each and every single day to begin, right? To yield your own natural energy. I want to leave you with the four, he has 5 now, but the 4 agreements. And that is a book I suggest that you get because it is an amazing book. And it is also how I began to now continue to heal myself. But when I want to say begin, I'm in therapy and I'm still in therapy. Therapy, get some therapy, please, y'all, if you need it. Coaching is in therapy. There's nothing wrong with getting therapy. It is a part of your self-care. Just like breathing, just like sitting down, just like doing whatever you want to do for you is therapy. But the 4 agreements, the first one was being impeccable with your word. Are you being impeccable with your word with yourself first? Be impeccable. If you say you're going to do something for you, don't put it off because somebody else needs you right away. Take the time for you because you can't help anybody else until you help yourself first. So be impeccable with your word to yourself first. Number 2, don't take anything personally. Don't take anything. Now that's trust me, I'm still working through that one myself, but do not take anything personally. Why? Because it ain't about you. Whatever somebody else is upset about, it had nothing to do with you. They were already upset about something. It's just that maybe something you said triggered that thing because we all come with our own baggage. Remember, it's because we still have this cup that we still have to work on, this body. We still have these things that we are carrying, right? So it may not even be about you. So take a deep breath before you lash back out at somebody. Take a deep breath and go, this ain't got nothing to do with me. This is them. So don't take it personally. I'm a work in progress, I will admit, but I've gotten better because I recognize this is my energy that I'm yielding and I'm putting out. I can't get that back, and neither can you. Number 3, don't make assumptions. Don't assume because you haven't heard from somebody, I don't know, in 4 or 5 days, months, what have you, and then you're assuming, well, they must don't like me anymore. Life happens to people. Life gets in the way. And the last thing we're thinking about is calling all of our friends to say, oh my God, this happened in my life. I don't have time. No, we call whomever's the first person that drops into our mind because that's all we have the capacity for. That's all we have the capacity. So give people grace because you want grace to be given to you. Don't assume until you hear from the person about what may have happened. You would want the same thing for yourself. So be careful about assuming. Because typically when we assume, it turns out that we were wrong anyway. So don't assume, right? Lastly, always do your best. Whatever that best is for yourself, do your best at it. When you can go to bed at night and before you go to bed and you're writing your gratitudes, because I'm going to say again, do gratitudes. Get a journal, write your gratitudes at night and write them in the morning. Say them in the morning and say them at night. But when you have done your best and you can go to bed and go, yeah, today was an amazing day. And even if it wasn't an amazing day, I still did my best because life is going to happen. It is how we react to life. How we react is what life is going to give us back, right? So I encourage you to remember to be impeccable with your word, to don't take it personal, don't make assumptions, and always do your best. And remember that you are enough because you are. And have a magnificent love affair with yourself, whatever that looks like for you. Whatever. It could be taking a bath. It could be putting some music on and dancing like nobody's watching. It could be just sitting on your porch with a cup of coffee. Whatever that is for you, remember that this is my own natural energy yielding. Because if you want to have self-love, if you want to manifest, if you want to be abundant, you have to remember and be careful that what you put in here goes to here and eventually comes out here. So take some time for you. Carve out 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15, whatever, however much time you have. Carve it out and try to do it throughout the day. Take a moment to just breathe. Even right now, just take a moment to inhale and to exhale because it calms us down. And I'm sending you love because I am not just my sister. I am my sister's keeper. Okay? Thank you so much.
Listen. Okay. Look, I was just sitting, I was taking my notes, then I was sipping my tea, and then I'm like, oh my goodness, I have to write this down. This was absolutely amazing. And we've done broadcasts before, but the gems that you dropped during this presentation was just absolutely priceless. You literally took us through a journey of self-love, abundance, manifestation, how we can get there and how you got there. And you shared different stories with us. You shared where you were. And when you talked about the money, the definition, I've heard that before. My own natural energy yielding, when you talked about that, and then being so transparent about therapy, being part of your self-care and going to therapy and still being in therapy. I just want to know if you could just share with us before you leave, how did you get to this place of self-love, abundance, and manifestation? Because every time we connect and every time we're together, it's transparent. You know, there's some of us that say, yes, we're there, we're in that space. But every time I talk to you, it is transparent that that is the space that you're in. And not only that, you bring this comfort to those that are around you and in your space of, yes, I can get there to that self-love, abundance, and manifestation.
Listen, you know, I said earlier that you don't know you want to live until you think you're getting ready to die. And that is so true for me in that several times, not just a car accident, but, you know, as women, we go through things even in our body. And I remember some years ago having been rushed to the hospital because I had a tubular pregnancy and the egg had busted. And this is just truth. And when that blood was going through my bloodstream was dangerous. And they said, had I not gotten in when I gotten in, I would have died. Right. And it's like, and I just remember thinking even then, because it's a journey, Monique, like we don't just wake up and go, I'm just going to be this happy-go-lucky person. We've all had life. That was one of the steps. Like I've had different stages in my life, but that was one of those ones where I was like, okay, you got to do something different. You're going to have to change because of all the stress I have been under and not knowing how to love myself. It manifested in my body. And that's what happens. It begins to manifest in the body in all kinds of aches and pains and diabetes and high blood pressure. And for us, fibroids. So a lot of us, and I had that too. That was part of my issue. I had bad fibroids. And I was like, what do I need to do differently? And I began then to just start, like, I was back in therapy. I've been in therapy for off and on for like the last 20 or so years, literally. And I was like, I got to do something different. And that was one of the, like, I've had many come and go, but that was one of them. And I don't talk about that one a whole lot. But as women, we do need to share those things because there are other young women coming up behind us.
Yes.
And they need to know what not to do, honestly, really, to help their bodies, to not put that much stress on your body. So the fact that I'm in this space, nobody is going to make me do what I don't want to do. I'm not going to stress out about it. I can't, because I've had too many near-death experiences. And I'm like, the one that happened last year, I'm like, okay, God, uncle. Literally, I said uncle. Uncle. So so it's like, okay, come on, let's go. So I took myself deeper into this manifestation of abundance and self-love during those 6 months. So I'm deeper in now. I spend an hour in the morning on Sandra, and we're talking, meditating, praying, talking, and writing. That's what I do.
I love it. Thank you so much. And as everyone can see, to get in touch with Sandra, the information is at the bottom of your screen. It's Sandra Chaney Enterprises. You can go to Sandra Chaney Enterprises Inc.com or .square site. You can find Sandra Chaney on Instagram.
Yes.
And then also, Sandra, if someone wanted to email you to get more information,
they can go on my website, because on my website, it allows you to request like some time to talk with me. And I do like 25 to 30 minute free consultations with anybody, because some people just need to talk. So I do, offer that. And then, so everything is on my website. And that's the best way to do it. It's on my website.
Thank you so much. And again, only in the Sis Network. Okay. Do y'all see all listen, for our audience, I hope you were able to see that there was some offers that were put out to you where you could connect with our network members for free, consultations, programs, financial information. So please take advantage of those. Sandra, thank you once again.
Thank you.
We are going to move to our next dynamic network member and sister. And I want to just tell you a little bit about our next presenter. And our next presenter, Miss Yvonne Sermacheski, is one of our newest members to the Sisters Inspire Sisters Network. Miss Yvonne is an author, entrepreneur, and philanthropist, and finds great joy in helping others find peace, true love, and self-love. Miss Yvonne believes that sisters need to motivate and inspire each other. As united, we are strong. So I want to just add in a few other things just to give you a little bit more information and background. Yvonne has participated as a speaker at her church, community events, and fundraisers. She has spoken to high school students through volunteer organizations and has belonged to the Foundation of Hope, where she spoke about bullying, drug abuse, and unplanned pregnancies. Ms. Yvonne was also the head of the PR committee for her union, and for 27 years worked in the public library system, doing programming for children, teens, and adults. Her latest position was hosting programs for adults and working with the community and filmmakers. This involved extensive public speaking. Program topics included International Day of Pink, Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women, Aboriginal Storytelling Month, environmental programs, art, architecture, and design, high school programs, as well as partnership programs with the Yorkton Film Festival. So I always like to give a lot of information. And I know my sisters are always like, okay, Monique, that's too much. But I say that we have to be able to toot our own horns. And I think that it's important to share accomplishments. So I want to thank you so much, Yvonne, for joining us. And I am going to leave the stage and turn the mic over to you.
Thank you so much, Monique. I am so pleased to be here. I come to you today from Canada, and I'm just so thrilled to be part of this group with all of these dynamic, inspiring women, and lovely, pleased to be part of the a contributing author to Sisters Inspire Sisters Anthology #2. This publication consists of stories and testimonials from all of us sisters who are here to help and support each other. And I find great joy in sharing my life experience in order to help women find peace, true love, and abundance. I'd like to offer you inspiration and hope. But first, I'd like to start by sharing a part of my journey and elaborate on how I personally have found peace, self-love, and abundance. Now, for the past 5 years, I can say that I have faced enormous struggle. I went from having a career that I loved to being downsized out of a job in the summer of 2017, just a few weeks prior to my daughter's wedding. And then shortly after, trying to land back on my feet again and begin a new career, my husband, Les, was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And this just shook my family to the core. After a valiant 14-month struggle, Les passed away in January 2020. And we were lucky enough to have a beautiful funeral for him just weeks before lockdown occurred in Canada due to a response to the COVID-19 pandemic. I then faced dealing with another job loss, social isolation, a pandemic, my grief, and trying to hold my family together. And at several different times in my life, I have felt that God has abandoned me. There was just too much pain, there's just too much struggle and loss. There's just so much loss. But now as I try to have a fresh start and look back on the past, I can see it all. And I confirm that at each point in my life, I was exactly where I was meant to be in order to fulfill God's plan for my life. I can also see how I tried to control so many things, but so many things were just completely out of my control. And I now know that if I keep a mindset of faith and I give up control, that everything will work out just as it was meant to. Also, I discovered that whatever is meant for me will come to me. Now, as I sit with the quiet, I wonder why I was not more accepting of change and what I perceived as chaos in my life. Everything that happened for a reason, and funny enough, it didn't matter how anxious I was about the outcome of the situation. The outcome was not for me to decide. Also, the timing was God's timing. It was perfect. For example, when my husband was sick, because I was having to juggle going to work full time and then arranging care for him, I always feared that he would die alone, that one day, I would find that he had slipped on the stairs or something and had passed away, alone, with no one to help him or prevent a catastrophic, untimely death. I constantly lived in fear that I would come home and find him that way. I contemplated how traumatic that this would be on our family. However, several small miracles happened, and due to God's grace, Les was admitted into palliative care at the exact moment he needed to be. This was indeed a miracle in itself. Excuse me. because the public healthcare system where I live in central Canada is very underfunded. And I found that there was a lot of pressure on me to keep my terminally ill husband at home to pass away there. There was a very long waiting list for a bed in palliative care, and it was extremely unlikely that Les would be able to get a bed. However, through a great deal of prayer, my family and I received our wish, and he was able to pass away peacefully in good care at the hospital, in a beautiful palliative care room with all of his loved ones around him. We were able to get there just to be able to support him and support each other and say goodbye. And this is just one example of the many miracles we received while my late husband was sick and dying. Now, when I discussed my husband's passing with my 3 children, they say that their dad's death was beautiful. After we received the diagnosis that he was terminally ill, although it was very traumatic to receive the news, we still had 2 more beautiful Christmases with him. And his last summer was a gorgeous, warm summer with perfect weather, filled with many entertaining fishing trips. My parents, that summer, they celebrated their 60th wedding anniversary in July 2019. And friends and relatives flew in from everywhere to join in the celebration. We hosted a barbecue the evening prior to the party, and our house was literally bursting at the seams. Les's favorite thing in the world was to bring family and friends together for a barbecue at our house. For the day of the anniversary party, he was chief bartender at the hall, so he had plenty of opportunity to pour drinks and chat with everybody. And as I look back now, as much as I complained that the amount of work there was just to pull together that big event, I now see that God brought all these people together so that Les could say goodbye. I have a treasured picture of him standing at our barbecue with a burger flipper in his hand, big smile on his face, and the whole family smiling at the camera behind him. I discovered through my experience that even if you're facing a crisis, if you have faith, God will walk you through it. If you're observant, it's clear to see that little miracles will happen in your life every day if you let them. Given the proper mindset and allowing events to unfold as they're meant to, you can find that there's beauty even in death. As time passed after the lovely funeral we were lucky enough to be able to have, and in the 2 years since the start of the pandemic, I've had many hours of solitude in which to contemplate my blessings and to find healing. I've also had the insight to recognize the people who have been placed in my life path, who have helped me through the difficult times and to achieve my true purpose. I believe that God does not make mistakes. There are no coincidences. Everyone who's put in your life path is there to teach you something or to help you out in some way. Although the passing of my husband left me shattered, I take great comfort in treasuring his contribution to my life and the lessons that I learned from this relationship. My late husband, Les, taught me to stand up on my own 2 feet and to fight when I needed to fight and to be strong when I needed to be strong. I, in turn, helped him to realize his life purpose. Les was a high school teacher, and he was passionate about teaching, and he lived to help his students achieve their highest potential. I supported and encouraged him in a way that he realized that he, as a teacher, could make all the differences in the world for a young person. Although it just broke our family to see that Les would never be able to retire because he fell sick far too young. But looking back, we all take comfort in knowing that he loved life and contributed a great deal to make the world a better place. In loving Les and helping him along his cancer journey, I learned to love and appreciate myself. I found that I could be strong and I could lead my family through this crisis. Many women don't realize how strong they are until they are placed in a situation where they have to have strength, courage, and lead each other through a crisis. I found that my reward for the struggle is to be able to look back right now and realize how I have grown and how much courage I have had to muster to face the future without fear. Also, I recognize that I was blessed all along the way with people who were there to help me and to guide me through the pain. The gratitude that I now feel for all the blessings that I've received has changed my mindset. My mindset in the past was that I needed to accomplish everything on my own. I measured my self-worth by how much work I could get done in a day, by the car that I drove, and by the size of my bank account. And I no longer think in this manner. So I now evaluate myself on what my contribution is to the important people in my life. I strive to be a sensitive, empathetic teacher, a mentor, someone who will be remembered for contributions that cannot be measured monetarily. I would not like to be remembered for how many pairs of designer shoes I have in my closet, but rather for the positive impact that I may have in someone's life. I no longer run after elusive, unattainable goals. I've discovered a renewed sense of purpose by blocking out distractions and listening to my inner voice, and instinctively answers to life problems present themselves to me. I found abundance through rich relationships as I have now placed my innermost thoughts and intentions in the mindset of giving. So because of this predominant thought pattern, I find that I'm also receiving every gift that was intended for me. In the past, I often felt alone and fearful and stressed. I found that these feelings caused me to develop stomach problems. There were also other health issues that started to manifest in my body purely as a result of my stress response. I remember visiting several doctors for health issues that were directly related to my mindset. The stress I felt manifested itself in physical symptoms. I found that when I changed my thought patterns, everything else in my life changed as well. My relationships improved and my health improved. So now I wake up in the morning, I feel energized and ready to start my day on a positive note, feeling thankful and ready to receive the abundance and everyday miracles that are meant for me. I also feel grateful for all of the teachers and mentors that God has provided for me as I travel along my life's journey. All my life, I have wondered if I am indeed fulfilling my life's purpose. As I look within myself and I listen to my inner voice, I've discovered that my true life's work is to share my insight, share my experience, and help others. We, the women of the world, can help each other. We can celebrate each other. We are each different in our own way, and in our diversity, we can find strength. Many of us right now are starting over. Let each of us extend our hand out toward our sister and offer a helping hand. Together, we can change the world.
That was absolutely amazing. I was busy typing in the chat. We can find strength in our diversity. And what I really received from your presentation, and I hope the audience and paying attention received it, that self-love, abundance, and manifestation to you, it seems like it has surfaced in the area of gratitude. And it's being grateful for different things and different experiences that helped you to get to the place where you are now. Yvonne, can you just tell us a little bit about what that transformation has been like for you? And how can others, those that are watching, how can we take gratitude and instill that in our everyday lives to help with our self-love and with our abundance?
Well, in answering that question, Monique, I just wanted to say a couple of things because I found, COVID was very difficult on all of us, let's face it. And for me, it was just such a change. I went from having this extremely busy career in life to having to deal with my husband's illness. And then when COVID hit, I found that I was alone and I was at home. So the transformation happened where, I really had time to evaluate what was my life like? What was I doing? And then to get through my grief. And, I just looked back. I was really able to look back on what all happened to get me to this point in my life. And, let's face it, death is a fact of life. So I had to acknowledge what happened and just look at the blessings, look at the timing of everything. And it was just really miraculous the way everything happened. And I looked at God's timing. I looked at the people who were always there along the way to help. And I felt such gratitude in knowing that all of the anxiety that I felt was really, it was anxiety for nothing because things were always taken care of along the way. Even though I was just feeling so alone and fearful, just having faith and trust, everything worked out. And the gratitude that I felt transformed me physically because I was going from doctor to doctor with stomach issues, and finally when I just stopped and I really evaluated my life, looked at the people, the moments I had, the opportunity to celebrate my husband's life and just to look at his contribution to the world, how I was there for him, how our family literally came together to say goodbye to him. It was really beautiful. I couldn't have asked for a better experience for him, even though it was so tragic. And for my children, we all came together. And now I just look at my family and what I have, what we developed together as a couple. I have 2 twin baby boys, grandchildren that I get to see every day that God has blessed me with. So I can't be more grateful for my life and for what I have. I'm also so grateful to have found this group, Sisters Inspiring Sisters, because, all of us work together for the same purpose and the same goal, to motivate other women and to help them succeed in life. That's what it's all about, right? That's what it's all about.
Yvonne, thank you so much. You are, first of all, just an asset to the group. And I know that this is just the beginning of many, many things to come. I know the audience cannot wait to read your chapter. The way you walked us through your story and where you are now, I commend you for your strength and also to be able to move forward, the support that you give to your family and just for the place that you're in right now, which is filled with gratitude and a place of self-love, manifestation, and abundance. Thank you so much. We are going to move on to our next dynamic speaker. I want to thank everyone again for being here, for being a part of Sisters Inspire Sisters Virtual Summit. We are almost done, but we are not done. I would like to introduce to you our next dynamic presenter, and that is Miss Paula Ralph Burkett. So just to give you a little information and background, as a musician, writer, and creative catalyst, Paula Ralph Burkett has played venues big and small throughout her career, including the Apollo and the United Nations. Paula also creates presentations and performances for people going through transition, using original music and theatrical pieces as envelopes of illustration. She explores stories of trials and triumph while weaving transformational thinking principles that come to life through her characters. All an effort for listeners to imagine their own path of possibilities. Before Paula comes on, she'd like you to meet one of her newest characters, and that is Miss Tamisha Johnson.
18 months. It's been 18 months since the sudden tragic death of our beloved director, Mr. Travis Tooley. I understand headquarters is now considering a new direction. Well, we've been anticipating who that person... Oh, I'm sorry. You want my personal perspective. Okay. I've been anticipating who that person might be, so thank you for allowing me to speak before the hiring committee to give my thoughts on our current acting director, Mr. Brad Aiken, who I heard was out with a broken arm. Did he say how it happened? No? Well, that's most unfortunate. I mean, about his arm. Yeah. Well, approaching Mr. Aiken can be a bit daunting, sweaty palms and all. For example, he asked me to up the numbers in Philly, but neglected to give me a target. So I asked, what's the number? And I guess the word number set him on edge because he snarled, figure it out, dummy. Like that. He said he was only joking, but I made sure after that to ask all questions via email. Yeah. Now, he does believe in manufacturing a team. On the second week of Mr. Aiken's acting directorship, he announced, the team is a family, and if a family, then we all need to look alike. His words sort of hung in the air like flatulence. Yeah. Everyone peered at me, the only Black person, for his meaning. Well, after about a week of guessing, Mr. Aiken generously offered me a monetary stipend for a weave, makeup lessons, and a membership to Blink Fitness. Wow. I mean, who gets that from their boss? Then he said I was going to have to lay off the fried chicken to fit in around here. You know, again, he said he was only joking, but I made sure, not to report it because, I have student loans, so I complied, albeit regrettably. As you know, my name is Tamisha Johnson. Everyone on the team is aware nicknames make my skin crawl. It's either Tamisha or Miss Johnson. But after accepting Mr. Aiken's generous offer, he started calling me Tammy J. Hey, Tammy J. Hey, Tammy J. It was a huge shift for Mr. Tooley. When I started in this company, Mr. Tooley saw my enthusiasm and talent not as a threat, but as an asset. He would say, Tamisha, if you don't see yourself as a winner, you can't perform as a winner. And my favorite, Miss Johnson, someone's opinion of you doesn't have to be your reality. Oh gosh, doesn't have to be my reality. I'm sorry, I just hadn't heard his words since last Saturday night. Listen, I wasn't going to enter this in my review, but my family, my friends all say that I'm smart enough to start my own firm, but I've never considered it because I'm here, I work late, I spend weekends here to prove my worth. Not to Mr. Aiken, but to myself. Well, last Saturday night, I realized my worth. When I walked into my office, Mr. Aiken was sitting in my chair with that smug look on his face that said, I got you now, Tammy J. So I turned to walk out, but he was too fast and he blocked my door. So I ran back to the desk to call security, but the office phone was dead. When I was rifling through my bag for my purse, that's when he came up behind me. He came up behind me and he rubbed his, he rubbed his. When I screamed, I started wailing on him with whatever I could find. As he crumbled to the floor, he looked terrified as I lifted the solid brass nameplate over his head. It was a gift from Mr. Tooley that said, you can do it. the next thing I heard was a crack. And Mr. Aiken screaming in pain. You know, I left before security came. I graduated Wharton Business School, the top 10th of my class. I do all I can to keep this department, this company growing. So I shouldn't have to compromise myself for anybody or anything. Is that why I'm here? You knew? Well, there's got to be something better than this. I mean, I should really start my own firm because as a matter of fact, let me leave Tammy J right here because Tamika Johnson just quit. All right, ladies, say it with me. How I see myself is how I will be myself. Say it with me. How I see myself is how I will be myself. Say it one more time for the people in the back. How I see myself is how I will be myself. Hey, my name is Paula Ralph Burkett, and I am a creative catalyst here to remind you of your preciousness, your perfectness, and your personhood. I want to remind you how Mr. Tooley told Tamika, if you don't see yourself as a winner, you can't perform as a winner, right? So I wanted to come back and give you the title of my tune and give you 4 ways, title of my talk. I do have tunes, but the title of my talk to give you 4 ways you can stop discounting yourself, sis, and charge what you're worth. Stop discounting yourself, sis. You are the only one who pays. But first, who am I? I am a musician, a writer, a creative catalyst, and I am determined to help you see yourself as you are. Precious, powerful, and loved. Because I know what it's like to discount yourself. I spent many years doing that. But the real question is, why do we discount ourselves in the first place, right? Why do we do it? And though there are many, many reasons why we do it, the 2 most consistent reasons are, the number one is money. We discount ourselves for money, right? And money is actually a false security because money depends on the value of the market, which is totally out of your control, right? The second reason why we might discount ourselves is for fame or attention. You know, when I was young, the elders used to say, fame and attention is a poor man's idea of love. It is a poor man's idea of love. But once we see ourselves as we are and love ourselves as we are, we won't have to depend on tools that don't benefit us and don't promote our best selves. So that's why I'm back, because I want to remind you, sis, stop discounting yourself. You are the only one who pays. Now, that tagline may be a bit misleading because if you are loved or have loved ones or love anybody, you are not the only one who pays, although you may be the first one who pays. Because your network of friends and family and neighborhoods all lose out when you don't take the essential step in believing in your inherent worth. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to look at Tamika's story as an envelope of illustration to help us see how self-love leads to abundance and manifestation of our purpose and destiny. Ooh, child, that's a lot to say, right? But simply put, self-love, when you can love yourself, you can love your neighbor as yourself. The scripture says, love your God with all your heart, all your mind, and all your soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. Nowadays, we have been really lacking in loving our neighbor, and I believe because we have been lacking in loving ourselves. So I'm going to give you 4 concrete ways you can start today to start loving yourself in a balanced way. Okay, if you're taking notes, point 1, pay attention and listen to the words that are around you. Now, I said this during the first summit, but it bears repeating. The average person has upwards of 60,000 thoughts a day, and 80% of those thoughts are negative, And 95% of those thoughts are the same exact repetitive negative thoughts as the day before. So we keep repeating this loop of negative thinking. Shall I understand? I was there yesterday, but we keep repeating this loop of negative thinking that actually hinders us from achieving the self-love that we need and the abundance and the manifestation. So let's take a look at Tamika. So Tamika was surrounded by so much negativity that she forgot her mentor's words of someone's opinion of you doesn't have to be your reality. When she remembered those words, she came to herself and reclaimed her agency, right? Someone's opinion of you doesn't have to be your reality. And those words are actually from the life of the great motivational speaker, Les Brown. I know, Monique, you know who that is. The great Les Brown. They're actually from his adopted mother's words. When one of his teachers said he wouldn't amount to anything. And his adopted mother said, someone's opinion of you doesn't have to be your reality, but your opinion of yourself most certainly is your reality. So I want you to pay attention to these points so that you can understand how important self-love is, how it's the beginning of building your world, right? Positive and negative words are the containers for power. Positive and negative words are the containers for power. And when Tamika remembered those positive words, she moved on to point two. Point two, speak up and claim your worth. Because Tamika was able to remember words of empowerment and encouragement and love, she found the courage to speak up for herself and reclaim her agency. What is agency? It is the capacity to act independently and make your own free choice, right? You express your agency when you have the courage to speak up. And we hear this when Tamika said, I don't have to compromise myself for anybody or anything, right? When you realize that you have to compromise yourself, we're going to talk about that in the next in the next point. But when she said that, she was able to move on to the next point. If she had said that sooner, if she had realized her self-worth sooner, she might have moved to point 3 sooner, and that is create and secure your boundaries. Okay, let's take it from the top because I know it's a lot of points. The first point is pay attention and listen to the words around you, because words are containers for power. Point 2, speak up and claim your worth. When you do, you reclaim your agency. Point 3, this is where we are now, create and secure your boundaries. When we speak up, we demand that others realize and recognize our worth. See, our words are like a fence around our mind, our thoughts, and even our physical bodies. Let's take a look at Tamika. If she had set boundaries from the top, it might not have gone that far. Let's take a look. If she had said, no, you're not going to call me dummy, when her new boss, Mr. Aiken, called her a dummy, it could have stopped her from being assaulted. It might have. If she had when he asked to change her appearance, she could have said, no, we're not doing that. I look fine just the way I am. I'm enough. When he asked to change her name from Tamika to Tammy J, she could have said, no, we're not doing that. My name is Tamika Johnson, and that's what I want you to call me, right? The thing about this story is, although Tamika's story is fictional, it does have some real life examples. And this is where creating boundaries came from. I was on Facebook in a natural hair Facebook group, and this one woman was talking about how she couldn't wear her hair natural. She got a new job. She couldn't wear her hair natural because she took a deferment. And I was like, what is a deferment? A deferment? And everybody in the chat was like, what is a deferment? A deferment was her boss asked her to wear a wig and to wear lighter makeup to work, because this was an African-American woman, to change her hairstyle and to wear lighter makeup in order to fit in with the culture of her place. Now, she didn't have to do it, but she felt she had to do it because she was a single mother and she said she had to feed her kids. It's like Denzel Washington said, you have to do what you have to do until you can do what you want to do. But the whole point is count the cost of the compromise before you do. And Tamika hadn't done that until the very end. But when she finally did, she moved with a quickness to the final point, which is point 4, take action. When Tamika realized how far her boundaries were pushed, she took action to defend herself. But she had to believe, if she had believed that she could prove her worth in her own business, it might not have gone this far. I am very much a very horrible procrastinator, and I have learned procrastination hinders the abundance of your manifestation, right? Procrastination hinders the abundance of your manifestation. Tamika wanted to prove her worth at the job, but she could have proved her worth on her own business, running her own business. And when she finally realized she could, she was like, "That's it. I quit. You can keep Tammy J. Tamika Johnson is quitting. She's out of here." The thing about it is, when we don't believe in ourselves, we discount all that love and light has put in us and deposited in us when he said, "Very good." And he said, "Very good," when he made us. So in summary, I know there's a lot, so I'm just going to break it down for you one more time. In summary, number 1, point 1, pay attention and listen to the thousands, maybe not thousands, listen to the words that are repeated every day. Do they give you life? Do they give you hope? Are they filled with gratitude, like my other sister said earlier? Are they filled with life? And if they're not, please know, words are containers for power. Pay attention and listen to the words around you, because words are containers for power. Point 2, speak up and claim your worth to regain your agency, your ability to make your own decisions and act independently. That's important, because when you're able to do that, you express yourself. You express self-love, right? And point 3, create and secure boundaries, your boundaries. I meant to include this. When we create boundaries, we must understand that we're defending something. We're defending our mind. We're defending ourselves. And you know, it's funny. When I listen to my husband sometimes talk, when I'm on social media, and he's like, "Did that person say something to you? Let me get on there and defend you." I know he's doing it because he loves me, right? So when we create our own boundaries, when we create and secure our own boundaries, that is an act of self-love. Create your boundaries and defend your boundaries, because you are the most important person to protect and defend. When you can do that, what do the flight attendants say? You must give yourself oxygen first in order to rescue someone else, right? So if you're in a sinking aircraft, you must give yourself oxygen first in order to help someone else. Otherwise, you will pass out. And you're not going to be able to help yourself or anybody else. So create those boundaries, create those borders. Last one, take action, because procrastination hinders the abundance of your manifestation. Procrastination hinders the abundance of your manifestation. I really hope you got something out of this little tidbit of stuff I gave. And I want you to know how precious and powerful you are just in your decisions. If you work from a place of self-love and empowerment, and stay in touch with people who are giving this, like the women in this sisterhood, sis, you got it. You are able to move on and do your business. Thank you so much for paying attention and listening. Love you much. I can't hear you. Oh.
Okay, I'm unmuted. Thank you. Listen, let me just wait. I got to get a couple of mics here. All right, a couple of them. So this is the first time that I've heard this, and what a great summary. When you said procrastination hinders the abundance of your manifestation. How many times are there things that we know we need to do, but we put them off until later, and then later never comes? So, I mean, you hit a point right there. And can I tell you something? And we can't see each other, but if even the women watching, if you could just raise your hand in the chat, how many of us have been Tammy J's? I mean, at one time or the other, how many of us have been a Tammy J? We have not spoken up for ourselves. We've let situations go a little too far. And then when it finally gets to the breaking point, we break and say, that's it. So at least Tammy J broke and said, that's it. Okay. And she didn't stay in it. But thank you so much for sharing that character with us, because Tammy J is so relatable. And then breaking down each phase that Tammy J went through and sharing your points. I just need to know, when you developed Tammy J, where did this come from? Was it from personal experiences or experiences that you've discussed with other sisters? Because I'm serious, Tammy J is me at one time in my life.
The word. She is actually a culmination of earlier I did. So let me start from the top. So most of my pieces, again, are from real world experiences, from women who are trying to build a business, trying to build a family, who are in transition to become their better self, right? And it's a struggle. It's a real struggle. So there were private conversations, and some of them was stuff that I actually experienced. Being called a dummy, being called, just because you're not in the right place at the right time, you're doing something that actually is not you're trying to keep food on the table just to stay alive. and I think the thing is, it's important that Tammy J's experience, like you said, was experienced by so many other women. However, when I was experiencing it, I thought I was the only one who was doing it. I thought I was the only one who was experiencing it. And when I do Tammy J, so many women, white, black, Chinese, or whatever, Asian, it doesn't matter, say the same thing. Oh my gosh, Tammy J is me. Tammy J is, I experienced that. And when we are able to actually speak those things, like I said, we are able to find camaraderie and strength and encouragement with each other. That's why the sisterhood is important, because we're not suffering and going through things by ourselves. Some people are able to go to therapy. That's very important. But community, especially after COVID, is so important. That's why I'm so excited and grateful to be connected to Sisters Inspiring Sisters. So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much. That was, again, absolutely amazing. And I'm just thinking about all of the different nuggets, the 4 that you shared with us. And one of the things that I really love, one of the ones is speak up and claim your boundaries. Speaking up and saying, you know what, protecting yourself, saying, this is how I feel about this. This is what I'm not going to allow. This is where I'm going to say no, and I'm okay with it.
Yep.
So, Paula, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely amazing. Listen, ladies, thank you for joining us and hanging in here with us. We are going to move along to our last speaker for the day, and that is another one of our dynamic sisters that I will be bringing to the stage next, and that is Dr. Juanita. Dr. Juanita Foster is a member of the SIS Network. And I just want to tell you a little about Dr. Juanita before I bring Dr. Juanita to the stage. And if you're a part of our private Facebook group, you've probably attended some of Dr. Juanita's free coaching on business as well as organizational and personal development. So Dr. Juanita Foster is a 2-time international Amazon bestselling author. In addition to being an author, Dr. Juanita is a certified life coach, international leadership and team development speaker, trainer, and consultant. She is the lead coach and CEO of Educate, Motivate, Elevate Consulting, LLC, located in Delaware. Her deep passion and commitment to leadership has led her to launch Educate, Motivate, Elevate Consulting that equips and supports business owners to monetize their leadership skills so they can build and grow a profitable business with confidence without being overwhelmed. Dr. Juanita is a Delaware native who loves to volunteer throughout the state. She is the mother of 3 children and grandmother to 2 grandchildren. She enjoys spending time with her family and is known as the family event planner. When asked about the source of her passion and commitment, Dr. Juanita answers, I want to be a catalyst for fellow entrepreneurs who need support in developing a profitable business and a profitable life. Let me bring to you my sister, Dr. Juanita. Dr. Juanita, look, I'm just going to go ahead and pass you the mic. Thank you for closing us out today. I know you have a very busy schedule, but we are honored to have you on board.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for allowing me to spend some time with you today. My name is Dr. Juanita, and I forgot one of my grandkids. I have 3 grandkids. She is 2. She's my baby. So I want to just give you a little point as I go through. As you can see, my thought model is behind me. And the presenter before me talked about this as well. She said, well, we can go 3 weeks without food, 3 minutes without oxygen, but we can't even go 3 seconds without thinking our thoughts. And as I thought about the topic for today, manifestation and manifesting, God gave me manifesting your abundance. And what does that actually look like? And one of the things I want to take you to, we're going to go on a field trip. If you're like me, going on a field trip, you packed your lunch. If you went on a family trip, your family packed the lunch. And we're going to go to what's called the already done place. So I want everyone to think about that one thing that you want to accomplish this year, the biggest thing. And you can have more than one that you want to accomplish this year. And we're going to go to December 31st of 2022. So let's think about that. So when you accomplish that goal and you are that person, what are you doing? Are you are you are you doing in-person events? Are you traveling the world? Are you spending more time with your family? You have money in the bank. You're $1 million in the bank. Who are you being? Are you being that CEO of your corporation? Are you being that mother and that wife? Are you being that person who has lost the weight? Who are you being? That is the B. The do is the who are you doing, and the have. What do you have? What does God say you can have? And the word that says He has given us the ability to create wealth. So when we have all of that, the be, the do, the have, we're not going to stop there, and we're going to come back to March 19th of 2022. And before we come back, what are you inspired to do? What inspires you? And what inspires actions you're going to do in order to already have and be that person. And I always use that example, and I love that with my clients because it just thinks of more than just writing your vision, but actually going to the already done place. And I go there every single day. Some days I have to go there more than one time a day, especially when the word procrastination that came up a few times today want to set in. Let me give you an example for myself. Before I was Dr. Juanita, I was just Juanita. And when I had Dr. Juanita written on my vision board, I had it written multiple places. I had people were already calling me Dr. Juanita. And multiple times every night at night, I would sit with my eyes closed and I would just sit and I would see myself walking across that stage. I would see myself getting my diploma. I would see myself them putting the stove over top of me, calling me Dr. Juanita. And if you can see up there's one of my degrees. And and I did that every single day. I was already in an already done place. And that is what inspired me to continue on when I wanted to have to do another rewrite of my dissertation. And then another place I would go to is I had a date for my dissertation. It was April the 18th. And people would say, I would get family members and church members would come into me and say, when is your dissertation? When is your dissertation? And my words were exactly, I successfully defend my dissertation April 18th. That's it. I didn't say maybe. I didn't say I hope to. I say I successfully defend my dissertation April 18th. Guess what? When I presented my dissertation, my chair and my co-chair came back and they said, "Congratulations, Dr. Juanita." So let's just think about what does it look like for the thought model that's behind me. When you have the C, it's the C, the T, the F, the A, and the R. The C stands for circumstance, whatever the circumstance may be. And we're going to go with, it's neutral, it is factual. So, for example, if you have $1,000 in the bank, that is factual and it's neutral. Everyone and all the 8 billion people in the world would agree that you have $1,000 in the bank. And the T stands for the one sentence in your mind. And as I said, we had you can't go 3 seconds without a thought. But what is that thought that you have in your mind about the C? When I say neutral, your C should not have come up with any feelings. If you have any feelings about when you see that amount of money in the bank, or you see that weight on the scale and you feel some kind of way, you have given your power away to your circumstance. People's words should go into your C. Remember, I said neutral. And so when you have feelings, you give it away to your circumstance. The F is for feelings. One word: happy, sad, mad, excited, committed, confident, joyful. What is that one word feeling that you contribute when you have that thought? The A is actions, inactions, and actually the reactions. Actions is what do you do? So let's talk about the $1,000 in the bank. Let's talk about, I can take the thought that, only have $1,000 in the bank, or I got $1,000 in the bank. I'm going to my $1,000,000. See how different that was? We're gonna go with the thought that I have $1,000. I'm gonna go to my $1,000,000. How did that make me feel? I would say excited, but sometimes excitement can wean out. So I'm gonna go with confident. And when I'm confident or committed, courageous, and one word, confident. What actions do I do in order to back up my thoughts? I would go out and say, well, is there any other product, service that I can offer? Is there something I can sell in my home in order to increase towards my $1,000,000? Because the circumstance is $1,000,000. The circumstance is also $1,000. But however, my goal, which will be the pre-C, is $1,000,000 this year. And unfortunately, sometimes we do inactions. And I'm going to say, I've been one of those people who have said, instead of sending out an email, instead of going live, I'm going to go wash the dishes or I'm going to go take a nap or do something else. That is really what I consider buffering. A reaction is yelling, crying. And when we talked about giving your power by having a feeling about a circumstance, unfortunately, we can go into the reactive mode, and that would look like yelling and crying, screaming, throwing things and stuff like that. And the R always proves what we are thinking, and it's similar to the C. It is neutral, it's factual. So if you close your eyes and you think about where you live, what you drive, what you're wearing, your weight, your debt, your weight, all of that came from your thoughts. Your thoughts create your reality. And it was said earlier today about we have negative thoughts, and that makes up of 80% of our thinking. But I'm going to challenge you to be the thinker of your thoughts. And when you become the thinker of your thoughts, you are able to change your reality. The word says, as a man thinketh, so is he. And let's be honest, nothing's going wrong. You're not broken. You're already enough. when we do have these negative thoughts. Because what happens in our brain, it wants to keep us safe. That's how we would do with the buffering or being on autopilot. Have you ever driven home from work and you like zoned out? I have. And we're like, oh my God, how did I get home from work? That you don't even remember turning the car or anything like that. That is your brain on autopilot. Your brain is doing its job. Nothing's going wrong. That is exactly what it is supposed to do. Keep you safe. However, when you start being the thinker of your thoughts and you start actively changing your thoughts, you start actively questioning your thoughts, you actually uh, you activate the prefrontal cortex of your brain, which is where our thinking comes from. And that's where we start directing ourselves to the goal we want to have and to the manifestation of what we want. When I took you to the already done place, and how I said, I do that every single day. And I gave you that example when I accomplished my goal as becoming Dr. Juanita and successfully defending my dissertation. So I want you to, it's not something that's automatic. I say I do it every day. And then I also as a coach, this is what I teach my clients, and I do self-coaching myself. I self-coach myself every single day. I go to the already done place for myself. I question my thoughts. I do a thought model. And sometimes I may not have, say this month you have a goal of losing 20 pounds. I'm gonna go with the weight because I am on my weight loss journey and I don't make it. I literally sit and think about all of the thoughts that come up to in my mind. Oh, I failed at this. Oh, I shouldn't have ate that pizza. Oh, what am I going to ever lose the weight? All of these thoughts come up to you in your mind. And the problem with that is sometimes when we hear the I, those are not necessarily may not be our thoughts, but the devil gives them to us as a I statement. And then I question those thoughts. Does that thought really serve me? So when you are going for your goal and you might not make your goal, or when you get those negative thoughts in your mind in the morning, or just throughout today, and I'm going to help you with that morning thing. Be the thinker of your thoughts. Question that thought. Write everything down and say, does that thought serve me? Oh, I failed at this. Cross that out. Oh, I'm never going to lose the weight. Cross that out. And start saying, going back to the C, the circumstances, I'm going to lose 30 pounds this month. And going to the thought that I am who God says I am. I am her now. And I can use that. I declare wisdom in this, God's wisdom in losing 30 pounds. I have the mind of Christ. And I know how to solve this problem. And come with those thoughts. And start going with the feelings that you have for that. What feelings would come up? Confidence. What action? I'm gonna do meal planning. I'm gonna drink my water. I'm gonna go exercise. What am I gonna stop doing? My inaction. I'm gonna stop eating pizza, which is my favorite food. And the result would be achieving the weight that I desire to lose for that month. Do this over and over again. Dr. Carlin Leaf, who is a Christian neuroscientist, talks about how the fact that we can rewire our brain and we can uproot those negative thoughts in order to put in to change our thoughts. I'm not going to just say positive thoughts, but to change our thoughts and to actually rewire our brain in order to produce what we want to produce. The same way when we have those negative thoughts, produce negativity, we can change our brain to and change our thoughts to actually achieve what we desire to achieve. One last thing I want to talk to you about today is dealing with, I call it the care process. Get clear, get answers, get rest, and get elevated. This is a process that I do also at night And I am a big lover of journaling. I journal during the day, I journal at night. And so anytime I have a problem or an issue, I start with my care process. I journal. First thing I do is I talk about how grateful I am, how grateful to God I am for being alive. I'm grateful that I was able to wear these earrings. It could be anything and everything. And I write out why I'm grateful. Then I ask God questions. Um, about it could be about your business, your life, your weight, your family. What questions? You can even write out your to-do list for the next day, because the goal is to get it off of your head. Then once I get the questions, I just rest. Rest is a strategy. And there are certain types of rest. There's active rest when you actually just fall asleep. And then there is that's passive rest when you fall asleep. There's active rest when you're stretching, so going to yoga and you're actually just stretching your body, even breathing in and out. That is actively getting your body relaxed. And then there's spiritual rest, resting in God. There's mental rest when you get things off of your head, like I said, putting it in your journal and having your brain mentally rest so you're able to get sleep. And then elevation. After we go through that, and the next day before I get up, because the negative thoughts would start automatically, I start directing my brain to where I want to go. I immediately start going, thanking God for another day. I pray. I go to the already done place. I use my prefrontal cortex of my brain to say how I want my day to be. Not because the past is gone and it'll never come back. So I forget the past, even those thoughts, and I immediately, if there's a thought, I start going through my list. I am who God says I am. I am her now. I have vision boards. I have belief plans. I have a belief wall. As a client, I own you all. So I give you a belief wall. I look at, I am worthy and I'm deserving of making all the money that I desire to make. I am worthy and I'm deserving of making all the money that I desire to make. And looking at that, and then I write down, and if there's any thoughts that don't serve me, you can literally take those thoughts and say, I see you in August of 2022, and suspend those thoughts and start getting down to what you want to manifest. That's self-care, self-love, manifesting what you want to do in your business, your life, your home, your weight. And that is what I do. That's one of the processes I take my clients through. I'm Dr. Juanita. And if you would like to have a consult with me, I'm the type of coach to help you look at your thoughts, because everything you have, you're already enough. It's already on the inside of you. I support you by coming alongside of you. We just don't write the work, we do the work. And I want to thank you again for this time. I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Dr. Juanita, thank you, thank you, thank you. Listen, I am who God says I am, and I am her now.
Yes.
And just repeating that as you were speaking to us and thinking about stress and anxiety, just saying that helps to relieve some of it's like a woosah. And then you just said those negative feelings and thoughts, you could put those in check and say, you know what, I'll catch up with you later. Okay. I'll see you. It's March. It's April. I'll see you. It's March. I'll see you in December, or I'll see you in August. I'll see you at another time. And CTFAR, and I put it in the chat, when you talked about just being able to take a negative thought and turn it into a positive thought. And the example with, okay, I have $1,000 in the bank. Or, I have $1,000 in the bank. Sister Girl is doing good right now. It's a mindset shift. But what I wanted to ask you, because I didn't get a chance to get everything, and I think it was really, really important, if you can just tell us again that CARE process. CARE, what those acronyms stand for.
Get clear, answers, rest, and elevate. And one of the things I think I neglected to mention was even in the morning when I get up, I sit with God, and you best better believe He gives me the answers. It might not be answer to number one, answer to number two. It might be some other things, but when we take time to really listen to Him, we get clear, we get our answers, we get the rest. You ever try to go to bed and have multiple things on your mind? You wake up, you haven't gotten any rest, because guess what? All of it's been on your mind. And you get elevated. Elevated means you can go and get inspired to get and manifest your already done place.
Dr. Juanita, thank you so much. So this has been absolutely amazing. You can go to drfoster.com, get more information about Dr. Juanita. You can join our private Sisters Inspire Sisters Facebook group, where Dr. Juanita actually provides free coaching to us. Sometimes it is weekly, sometimes it is monthly, but listen, you don't want to miss out on these resources. Dr. Juanita, thank you once again. Ladies, listen, I want to thank you so much for joining Sisters Inspire Sisters Virtual Summit, Self-Love, Manifestation, and Abundance. We will be back tomorrow at 10 a.m., where we have 2 keynote speakers, Angela Brand, as well as celebrity dentist, Dr. Catrice Austin, and a powerful performance by our Sis Network member, Miss Paula Ralph Burkett. Again, you could follow us on YouTube at Sisters Inspire Sisters. You could also find us on Facebook at the Sisters Inspire Sisters private Facebook group. And if you haven't done so already, please join our membership, Sisters Inspire Sisters. Listen, we are connected. We are global. We are networking. We are fellowshipping. We are creating generational wealth, entrepreneurship, sharing resources, wellness, mental health, and physical health together. We're doing it together, connected as sisters in this dynamic sisterhood. I want to wish everyone an awesome rest of the day, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you.